Good morning, Afisha and welcome to the AM News. My name is Denise Apomaje. We begin from Parliament, where the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has sparked speculation about his possible retention as Speaker as his term nears its expiration. Well, during a visit by the National Democratic Congress's Professional Forum on Saturday, Mr. Bagbin expressed concerns about the re-collation of some parliamentary election results. He made a firm declaration that candidates whose victories were based on the re-collation process may not be eligible to be sworn in by him on 6 January 2025.
To become a member of parliament, you have to be elected by the voter. And you have to be declared by the electoral commission. But you have to be sworn in by the speaker. Until you are sworn in by the speaker, you remain elected. So I was very clear in my mind that some of those re-collation declarations were completely now and void ab initio. They were unknown to the law. And so they were not properly so-called MPs elect and not qualified to be sworn in by you. My dad this year, we had those discussions when I told them they were all surprised. I said, yes, I'm the gatekeeper. The right thing must be done for us to be able to reset Ghana. And so, this re-collation, I tell you, is going to do more than what I have done.
Our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Kweku Asante, has been sharing some insight into the Speaker's comments.
The Speaker of Parliament has taken a position that these four persons, or some of these persons who were declared by way of re-collation, and we know that the issue said they were re-collating nine constituencies. They've done 7 so far. The Supreme Court has set aside 4. The Speaker says those persons will not be recognized. And that will mean that the Speaker is getting certain inclination that he will be put up by the NDC as the Speaker for the 9th Parliament. If you look at the standing orders, it says that whoever is to be proposed to be Speaker will have to write to the clerk and approve of that nomination. And so, given that it's barely 9 days for Parliament to reconvene for the election of a new Speaker on the 6th January 2025, one will be thinking by now that the Speaker of Parliament may have been informed either by the President-elect or certain high-guns in the NDC that they will not nominate another person to take over from him as Speaker. At this same event that he made these comments, the NDC Professionals Forum also backed him and did say that they expected that he will be renominated for the speakership position. As to whether or not the Speaker of Parliament can do what he's saying, if you look at the standing orders, it says that the clerk to Parliament will preside over the election of the Speaker. And so these 274 as of now who have been pronounced elected will go to Parliament on the 6th of January. They will elect a new Speaker. The Speaker of Parliament will then be sworn in on the midnight of 7 January. And then he, the Speaker, will in turn swear in these new members. And so while the Speaker of Parliament he's the one before whom the oath of MPs elect will be taken, it will stand to reason that the Speaker of Parliament said that this and that person, because he believed that they were not validly elected, he will not allow them to take the oath of office. And we'll see that on the 7th of January.
But these MPs will be part of the 270.
Away from Parliament, the Ada Community Chiefs Association is asking President-elect John Dramani Mahama to immediately address fresh escalating tensions over a salt mining concession in the Songor Lagoon. This follows a violent clash on December 23, 2024 at Bonikofe in the Ada East District, which left 2 middle-aged men critically injured, while the chiefs have condemned the attack, labeling it as a politically motivated attempt aimed at tarnishing Electrochem Ghana Limited's reputation to jeopardize continuity of its lease agreement with the incoming administration. Carlos Coloni reports. That's a rather disturbing story there. But moving on, some residents of Elmina in the central region are protesting a mining lease granted to a private developer by their traditional leaders. Well, the demonstrators dressed in red and holding placards are demanding accountability from their traditional leaders. They argue that the lease was granted without consulting the community. Central Region correspondent Eric Asante reports from Elmina.
Clad in red and holding placards with messages like "We want our salt," "Give us what is due us," and "Don't sell Elmina." These residents of Elmina marched through the principal street to express their displeasure. The group claims the traditional council has failed to involve the community in decisions regarding the lease of their salt mining lands. Dom-Kwabenya, known as Manuma, the leader of the demonstrators, spoke passionately about their concerns.
I had now for answer. Now for them there, never know come out today see that. Never call one in China any that. I am for and China won't go there. If you do is young, none could over the won't time for me. Now, for that, you want to watch that in China or Yaneza. If you feel Nebala or Yancheno or Yaneza, it's everything now. And some try for I one Mayaka, young playing from when you know what you said, what you might go for no. Young brother, you want to buy Basabasa. But your father, Ibadan Cheno, so Australia. So yeah, no. That today yet no one say and that ought no one say that. Nana, I didn't go Bana go there. And China and the for you could not answer. I deny and China.
However, the traditional leaders of the area have dismissed the claims. Nana Nkwando IV, Adonti of the Edna Traditional Council, described the protest as a calculated effort to tarnish the image of the council.
Demonstration why what next? If a petition, I was a wakajenchen, and or the why the baby other. It's an action in nullity. You're a kankasa. So Obama yet no former. And she be a we fear her while call with a very positive message. And she know some a cool a baby bassa or tea. No mum, yan shame on one why no. Now, a sabona awaken yan fado. And that traditional council, Mijina oye nana kojokondia na name. Na atensafre oye them concern citizens Elmina citizency about tensafre one. One brand na form. Na yenche hon enche no ne fareby. Mosi obay centra waraka de emfi
The protesters, however, insist their demand for transparency and accountability will still continue.
Someone paying for what I didn't. What can I tell in China? No, what that some paying for what to do. What can you want to pass? But we can pay for that. One shot, not say, you be on my 20 years. That's a what can oh, yeah.
For Joy News, my name is Eric Asante, Elmina.
And still in the central region, parents of children with special needs have been urged to seek support to help their children achieve their potential rather than abandon them. Well, the Challenge Children Foundation, an NGO in the central region, has highlighted that many parents neglect their children due to stigma and the challenges of caregiving. Founder of the organization, Rachel Ajoto Adom, wants a more robust intervention to provide children with special needs access to quality and affordable health care and education. There's more in this report by Abdullah Usman.
Every year, the organization put together a party for mothers of children with special needs. The children and their mothers are engaged in games and are also given special packages. Founder of the foundation, Rachel Ajatuadom, urged mothers of children with special needs not to despair, but seek support to ensure that the children are well catered for.
Most mothers that I encounter were depressed and worried because their husbands have left, their mothers have, families have neglected them. But now, by the grace of God, we have empowered them and they are working. Some have encouraged themselves to accept the children. And also, some of the children are in school. We have a special teenager mother who has a child with all limbs, with all legs. But now the baby, we are taking care of the baby. And the teenager mother is learning a trade. And I'm so happy that this lady was depressed. But now she's lovely. She's easy to have fun with. Sometimes we try to understand because the needs of the children are cumbersome. It's not easy to take off a special needs child, but let us embrace it. It's not easy. Let's accept them as one of our regular children.
She appealed for support to help cater for the children.
Please, on behalf of special needs families and children, we plead to the government and stakeholders to come to our aid, especially in education and health. We know that some of the policies have begun, they are working, but they are not enough. Most of our children go to the health sector and we have to pay for other services being rendered. So we pray that policies will be written and it will be implemented for us. We want it to be practically done. When children are on admission with special needs, we have to call on friends and families. We pray that government will lessen the burden by putting all these children on health insurance and with education too. We pray that more teachers will be trained in special ways so that our children will be loved and cared for. Children who find themselves in regular schools will not be neglected or rejected.
Founder of the Mami Fuakit Foundation explains why they decided to support the children.
It's like this. We go to orphanages, but we haven't been with people living with physical challenges or something. So we decided to come here. We selected this place because I felt when I saw some of the pictures, I was just touched. I just couldn't. I was touched, and so we decided to come here and just party and marry with the children here.
One of the children with special needs made an appeal to government.
I'm in the person of Cornelius Kwabena Adom, and I am appealing to government and all stakeholders to assist all children and persons with special needs and in schools, social gatherings in Ghana. I am a musician and I want the government to promote my music to all the countries and help my friends with talent to promote them. Thank you.
Let me share with you an inspiring story. After enduring an abusive relationship for 15 years, Irene Edu has opened up about the trauma she faced, losing her self-esteem and confidence. She now stands alongside other women who have overcome depression and various mental health challenges to inspire and empower those still struggling to break free. There's more in this report by Adobia Asare.
An annual gathering by Emerge New Woman, an organization dedicated to supporting women through mental wellness programs such as psychoeducation, therapeutic interventions, and advisory services. Survivors of abuse shared their journeys of resilience. Irene, who narrowly escaped losing her life due to persistent physical abuse, stressed the importance of seeking help during challenging times.
So I was in a relationship, a very toxic relationship. And I had 2 kids out of the relationship. He abuses me verbally and and then obrum sukamo. So it was difficult. Sometimes you want to come out of the relationship. You get out and then he tells you you would come back. I don't know what happened. He so beat me. I fainted. I had my asthma triggered, and I think he realized that either I was going to die or something. He left the house, opened the door, and then opened the gates and then drove off to let them know that you are not alone. It's okay to be there, and then to always seek help.
Rachel Donko, a reformed drug addict, recounted her struggles with addiction and expressed heartfelt gratitude to Emerge New Woman for guiding her through her transformation.
I thank Emerge New Woman for giving me hope when I have lost hope, for giving me life, that when I gave up on myself, they didn't give up on me. I came here today to thank them for all that. I was an addict. I was an active addict. I was into drugs before I met Emerge New Woman in 2022, and they've really transformed my life. And today, I stand here to testify, and I thank them for giving me such an opportunity that no one can take it away from me.
Feminist and broadcast journalist Gifty Yanti urged women to forgive themselves for past mistakes and focus on becoming the best versions of themselves.
You've got something, woman. Oh, yes. Be it beauty, be it money, be it a voice, be it whatever it is, use it. God used Rahab the prostitute. He used the woman by the well. She was not really classified as a prostitute, but she was in her own class. Right. She was told that even the man you are with is not your husband. Right. And you know what she did? She ran to town. She was not ashamed. Because what matters most is your next, not your past.
Lady May, the founder of Emerge New Woman, shared her motivation for establishing the initiative, encouraging women to take bold steps forward and refuse to live in self-pity.
Renewed Woman was started after my own experience. When I was going through my challenging times, one thing stood out for me. I realized that there were times you could not share what you're going through. At that times, it felt like you were alone. And so once I emerged out of my situation, I said to myself, no woman should be allowed to struggle by themselves. And that is why I came up with the Renewed Woman. Without action, nothing changes. And so if we want true transformation, if we want to see things move, if we want to release ourselves of entanglement and this feeling of being stuck and so on and so forth, then the only way out is to take action.
This year's theme, Realigned, emphasized the importance of speaking up and seeking support as a pathway to personal growth and empowerment. Adobia Sari's report read to you.
And that's it for AM News, but it certainly isn't the end of the show because Sweetie Abochi will keep you company till 10 a.m. My name is Denise Yapomaide, Afishapa, and have a lovely day.
So from where I live, I've had calls from Lejo Kuku, I've had calls from Nungwa, I've had calls from some parts of Tema, some parts of Kotobabi, Newtown, and all that. It's something that we need to talk about. I think that in the last days of the current government, they should tell us exactly the state of the energy sector. Even if they don't, I think that in our first State of the Nation address, we are going to tell Ghanaians exactly what the state of the energy sector is. But it's important that we tell Ghanaians what is currently happening. We're in the festive season, so if for nothing at all, we plead with the outgoing government. Even though they've lost the elections, they should try and make sure that we have stable electricity so we enjoy the festive season. So,
are you still in the festive season?
Oh yes, it's been a very sweet Christmas for us in the NDC. I know. Yeah. My brother is Dr. Rashid.
Doc, did you also have a very sweet Christmas?
It's been restful. For me, it's been restful. Having come from a very tough elections. It's been restful, largely restful. I have not. In fact, the only place I've stepped foot is a friend in the NDC who decided to host a little party, and I passed through for a while, maybe some 20 minutes. But I've had good rest.
Okay, so let's take it from where Metal landed. What would be your thoughts to share with us this morning?
First is to also thank Ghanaians for keeping faith with us. Thank my constituents. I think that for almost a year, we knocked at their doors, campaigned vigorously, asked them to bless us with their votes. Quite unfortunate that Ghanaians thought otherwise. They gave the NDC an emphatic victory. Our only plea is that Ghanaians should allow us soak in our loss. Like my steering committee, my national executive committee have said that we in the MPP have accepted our loss and are going to put in measures not to get similar or same results ever. Yes, like my brother Semetel said, I do not know about Dumso, but really, if they are lights out during this festive season, one of the things that you would not want to have is to stay home and not have light. Especially when the kids, everybody is practically home, and so if like you said, pockets of areas in the country are experiencing lights out, it's just fair that we know what the issues are. But I doubt it's widespread. You also, Sweetie, you'd even ask where I stay.
But he said section.
That's what I'm saying. So then it will be a hasty conclusion. Dumso. It's pockets, but today is restful. We are not doing politics.
You know, we've not actually had constant or consistent, uninterrupted power supply. The last part of this year, going back, I think 4, 5, or even 6 months, right? Or you've never experienced any of those?
I will not be a fair judge because I was out of. In fact, truth is why it was pretty stable in my constituency. I could on top of my mind, I could say that we had pretty stable light.
Okay.
So and for the past almost 8 months, 9 months, I've been more in the constituency than Accra. I've been in and out, but right. I'll come a day and then be there 5, 6 days. So I will not be able to say what the situation is in Accra. But I'm saying that even if that's a reality, then that has to be solved.
Okay.
Devoid of the politicking. I think that staying home with Dumso is not a pleasant thing. If in my area there was no light during this my restful period, I'm surely going to. Really no, I would have run back to the village because it's peaceful there.
Gentlemen, let's get to the actual news now. On myjoyonline.com, there's a story here that President Akufo-Addo is set to decorate national honors and awards recipients today. And the president will this morning, in fact, today, December 30th, chair a national honors and awards ceremony. One of his final acts as he bows out of office to celebrate exceptional contributions and selfless services of individuals to the nation. And we're all looking forward to that later on in the day. And there's also a story here, an MPs-elect with quashed results, ineligible for swearing in, and that's according to Alban Bagbin. I know we all know the story of the re-collation saga, which we'll delve into later on the show. But Alban is saying that those MPs-elect in those 4 constituencies that haven't yet, have been concluded yet, do not qualify to be sworn into Parliament. What do you make of it, Metal?
Yeah, I think that those 4 constituencies, so we are talking about the ones in Greater Accra, Tema Central, Okankwe Central. We're talking about Ablekuma.
Tema Central, Ablekuma North, Ishiman South, and Okankwe Central.
Yeah. So the first declarations, the NDC parliamentary candidates in those constituencies were declared winners. So if the re-collated results were quashed, that means that the first declaration still holds. So I think that, from my understanding, what the Speaker of Parliament is saying is that the declarations done after the re-collations are not going to hold. So which means that the declarations done by the returning officers on the day of the elections at their various constituencies still hold. So
but the Supreme Court has actually, directed the EC to just re-collate and redeclare all these, should I call them controversial constituencies? So why would we say that the previous results still hold?
But you see, the parliamentary elections, the returning officers for the parliamentary elections are the returning officers at the constituency level. And that's where the declarations were done. And there were some kangaroo sort of re-collations that were done by the...
kangaroo re-collation?
Yeah, kangaroo re-collations that were done by the Electoral Commission. And that led to all this
What
chaos.
do you mean by that? Now I have to ask. What do you mean kangaroo re-collation?
But heaven's sakes, sweetie, you see, we've gone for an election. We've done collation at the constituency level. And Rashid was a parliamentary candidate in this election. When you're doing collation at the constituency level, you don't do it in absentia of your opponent's agents. Sometimes the candidates themselves are there.
Right.
The media and everybody is there. We are relying on the primary source of data, that's the pink sheets from the polling stations.
Right.
Your agents at the collation centers at the constituency level vetted all these documents, and then we came to a conclusion. When you listen to some of the arguments, for example, like Tema Central, the EC tells you that the returning officer declared under duress.
Yes.
The Electoral Commission is in no capacity to determine what duress is. It can only be determined by the court. And if you look at the video very well of the declaration, it was a very peaceful atmosphere. The returning officer was there, and then he made a declaration and then raised the hands of the NDC parliamentary candidate for Tema Central, that's Amy Bright. You take a look at Ablekumanov. There was no form of duress. Nobody.
So there was no duress in Ablekumanov because I've seen videos from that particular place.
Videos from your own station.
So what happened at Ablekumanov?
Okay.
The place was very secure. The place was very secured. Nobody directed a gun or a knife or threaten the returning officers to do any form of declaration. So if you come and you say you declared under duress, the Electoral Commission, our problem is the Electoral Commission does not have the capacity to determine whether duress. So you have done the declaration. If there's an issue, go to court. And we are basing our argument on the principles of the Electoral Commission. In 2020, there was a similar issue.
You see what you just said?
Yeah.
Basing your argument on the principles. I'll come to you in a bit, though.
Yeah. And the standard set by the Electoral Commission.
Exactly. So now that the Supreme Court has stepped in, nullified what the High Court already did, and said that, for peace to prevail, for clarity, just redo all these controversial constituencies again. Why would you still stand by? Anything could happen. It could turn out that the NDC parliamentary candidates who were declared winners in those the very first declaration done, could not win. I mean, I'm saying that should we not leave room for whatever comes after the re-collation as directed by the Supreme Court before we make any...
We have done our collation. We have our pink sheets. And we know, we are very confident. Even if the re-collation are done in those 4 constituencies 20 times, our parliamentary candidates are going to win.
Okay, hold
But we feel that it's just a kangaroo sort of thing, a saving face agenda by the NPP for their grassroots to have confidence in it.
Okay, Dr. Tiafol is smiling so much. I want to get into his thoughts.
It is the approach which my brother is tackling the issue. First and foremost, is in two folds. Let's look at what the Supreme Court decision is. They will dovetail into what the realities are. The Supreme Court didn't look at substance. It was just procedural that, okay, you file an order of mandamus in the High Court, the MPP, this candidate. Now, it was an ex-party one. The NDC was not heard. Or the NDC claimed that the High Court judge, they wanted to enter appearance and what.
But they were not heard.
They were not heard. So, principles of natural justice, 2 basic principles, audio authority pattern. Here, the other side. And then you cannot be a judge in all matter. Once you do these 2, naturally, your judgment or the process of decision making is void. So what the NDC did was that they went to the Supreme Court and said, please, there was an ex-party motion at the High Court. We are interested parties. We were not heard. So please, give us an opportunity to be heard. And that the High Court judge that sat to hear the matter to us was biased. 2 critical issues. So once the NDC filed that motion, Supreme Court, that judicial review the decision of the High Court judge, that what he did violates the principles of natural justice. So give us the opportunity to be heard. What did the Supreme Court say? Supreme Court said, okay, the NDC, go back to the High Court. Go and reply the order of mandamus filed by the MPP. Let a new High Court judge sit, because you are claiming that the old one is biased. We don't want you to come back and say this one is also biased. So new High Court sit, hear the order of mandamus, and if the High Court judge thinks that there should be re-collation, it's done.
Okay.
How is this kangaroo? How is this choice of words? That's what happened. Okay, let's come back. I would not have brought in the duress argument. We saw videos of people banging their hands and threatening that court declare, or if you don't declare as winners, what we will do to you. You not live here. We saw
and to you
an officer.
As
of course, more than duress.
Just so that metal gets that.
And this is not something I put out. This is on your portals and all that. Let's come back. Now you have a returning officer declare results. 110 out of 140. 30 polling stations. Where somebody was winning with less than 100 votes, 200 votes, and there are 30 polling stations outstanding. You cannot tell me that that's fair results declared. What happened to the 30 polling stations outstanding? That you could visibly see some judge by instructing him declare. Meanwhile, there were outstanding 30. I've seen media houses, yourself, I've seen your sister stations, in fact, say that after their coalition, the venerable MP, Peter, Patrick Boama, had won.
Oh.
Clearly, this is not. Hold on. No. Of course, several. I could say them. Okay. You
carried what he himself was saying.
Great, but no. Let me come in. Let me go to City. City has done. I don't want to mention them. City has done. In fact, Bernard Avlem, their reporter, they have done their own collection of 140 out of 140. I'm a former parliamentary candidate. At no point did the sitting minority leader win election with less than a polling station. We would all wait for all 140. I have 172. All 172 to come in. We all sit with our computers, do our calculations. Can you believe that even if one person raises an objection about a number, we have to go all over again? This is the process.
Okay.
So how then do you say that a return officer is declaring results with 130 out of 140? Fact
I guess the way for you have to conclude.
So I'll conclude. Fact is that what I would suggest is that if you think you've won, if I think I've won, it's just clear. Bring your laptop. Bring my laptop. You need to sit down. Police station A, 2. Everybody, 2. Let us do it again.
If you win, have a copy of your picture.
Great. If you win, you go and jubilate. If you lose, you go back home. But to call the court kangaroo,
let's make progress. Let's wait and see what happens. It's just tomorrow.
Dr. Rashid, at every point in time, constituents must be represented in Parliament. At every point in time, these electoral processes must come to an end.
Yes, of course.
We can, if that is the situation, okay, in every parliamentary elections, at any point in time, even if you win, I just come and say that I don't agree with the figure, so we need to do re-collation. Then after I call for re-collation,
that's not the process.
You can also call for re-collation.
No.
It keeps going on,
bro.
So
okay, let me do this. Let's move on from this quickly.
But let's understand the process.
So, we do understand.
No, it looks like metal is.
You understand what the Supreme Court has done, right?
No, I'm just saying that.
I'm just saying that
based on the standards of the Electoral Commission. You remember in 2020 what happened in Techiman South? We wrote to the Electoral Commission and we asked them for re-collation. And they said, do we have an issue? The parliamentary candidate has been declared in Techiman South, still holds. We should go to court. And then, so the person who has been declared initially must go to Parliament once the court process goes on.
No.
You know, I just want to conclude and say that by overturning the High Court's mandamus, the Supreme Court has actually reinforced the principle that judicial remedies must respect the constitutional autonomy and procedural safeguards of public institutions like the EC. So let's see how it all plays out, right?
I agree.
Now, so there's a story here that I think is very interesting. I like that I have two representatives from the two major parties here with me, NPP versus NDC. It says the Akufo-Addo and Bawumia government claims better performance on key macro indicators. Let me get a bit of the story and I'll come to you. The outgoing Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration has reiterated its claim of performing better relative to the administration it's inherited when it comes to the economy, as borne out by data from the Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance on several key indicators. And I want to skip to the parts where good. So in 2016, as John Mahama exited office following his electoral defeat, Ghana's economy recorded a GDP growth of a rate of 3.9%. In contrast, despite the global economic fallouts from COVID-19, Ghana's GDP growth rate currently stands at 7.2%. And they say this showcases the resilience of the economy and the Akufo-Addo government. And this is an argument we can all make, right? Whether or not these figures are a true reflection of how Ghanaians actually lived under both administrations. I'll start with you, Metal.
Sweetie, I think that this current MPP, Nana Addo Bawumia administration, they are still not learning. members of their own party, senior members of their party, parliamentary candidates of their party, accept that they mismanage the economy of Ghana. Now, when you're talking about they manage the economy better, we know the economic indicators that they measured NDC with in 2016. We'll first of all look at something that is called the exchange rate.
Right.
As of 2016, we bequeathed to the MPP government an exchange rate of 4.2 Ghana cedis to $1. Today is almost 17 Ghana cedis to $1. As of 2016.
So that's one indicator, right?
You look at inflation.
If you want to do it side by side.
When you look at inflation, that's one indicator. So in the story, I was hoping that they were going to do the comparison. So they mentioned exchange rates. They tell us our figure in 2016 and tell us that this is their figure today, so they manage the economy better. I was expecting that they'll tell us that inflation, the figure that we let for them, we bequeathed for them in 2016, this is what we let for them. And then today, they went as high as 56%, and now they are about 23%. Now talking about GDP, At the time that we live, they should take out the components of oil. They should take out the components of oil. And the reason why the GDP of Ghana has grown is because, at the time we're leaving government in 2016, the John Mahama administration had invested so much in the oil sector that we added 2 additional oil wells to their government before we left power. So when you take out that component, what exactly is the GDP? The construction sector is going negative. Agriculture sector is going negative. Fisheries.
Agri is going negative.
Beto, do you agree that numbers don't lie?
Numbers don't lie.
Do you agree that numbers don't
No,
lie?
So I'm saying that the GDP,
so
I said that it's going up.
Let me put some figures to you, right? Then you can react to it. So overall GDP between 2013 and 2016, your administration, 3.9. 2017 to 2023, 4.7. When you talk about agriculture GDP growth, 2013 to 2016, we have 2.8. And then 2017 to 2023, we have 4.5. When you go to industry or even per capita income, let me move to inflation because you mentioned that. 2013 to 2016, under former president-elect now, former administration, we had 15.8%. And this current administration is exiting with 18.4. No, that was up to 2023. This particular year is 23, but as at 2023, they had 18.4%. That's what you have on your screens, actually, so you can follow me while I do this. And when we talk about, I'm skipping some of them, gross international reserves, they did 5,784. And the President Akufo-Addo's administration did 7,639, although in 2024, it went a little higher to 7,830. If you say you agree that numbers don't lie, what's your case now?
My case now, I'm measuring them with a yardstick that they measured us in 2016. So when you're mentioning the numbers, you didn't talk about the exchange rate. I started with the exchange rate. And I told you that was about 4.2 in 2016. So there's almost 17 Ghana cedis to $1. I mentioned the inflation. Inflation today, I think even with the 18%, they are being very charitable with the MPP administration. The true state of the nation, okay, the current situation that we are facing in Ghana will be known when the NDC takes over the governance of this country from the 7th of January. We are saying that we are coming.
You have confidence in the numbers that this administration is
we know
the
MPP is good at cooking numbers. They kept cooking numbers and they've lost.
Unless you can back this.
Does it reflect? Does it reflect?
Let's be circumspect.
Does it reflect? Does it reflect? Does it reflect the situation on the ground?
Does it not?
We hear today that when they were going for IMF, some of the figures that they were using, at the point they had to go and then change some of the figures. They talk about the number of people they've employed. One person says 2.1, another time they say 3.6. You see, they're just playing with the numbers. But the true state of the economy is what the Ghanaian people expressed on the 7th of December. Nothing is going on well. Okay. You look at their GDP growth, and then you can't take out the investment that John Dramani Mahama made in the oil sector. You say agric. You know, today, Ghana, that was one of the leading producers of cocoa. Today, Ghana has to import cocoa to be able to supply our customers.
We can't talk about our deficits in terms of cocoa production without talking about galamsey. But hold for me. Let me just take.
So when I said agric is going to the negative.
Let me take those reflections.
And the figures there, I don't trust them.
Okay, so you don't trust the figures that this administration is turning out. I believe that the incoming administration will expose some discrepancies in the figures.
We await that expose. Until that, hold on. I want to set the record straight. It is not factual that the MPP imported cocoa to support our cocoa sector. This is a standard practice. At least it's an area I fairly appreciate. It's a standard practice. that for you to, especially those industries that do a lot of cocoa paste, you export some, you write to the cocoa board to seek approval, for them to grant you the approval to export some beans to mix the local beans. It's a taste matter. So this is something that has been happening since.
To your credit, it was under this administration that I think they funded the imports or something by themselves.
No,
so
I'm coming. Hold on. No, Mitchell, no.
They actually went for it.
Oh, you relax. No, relax.
They went for it, but they didn't get it.
No, don't let us. You see, for now, we are you are in your honeymoon mood. Don't.
Honeymoon.
Oh, come on. Okay, that's okay. I will not fall for that distraction. So what I'm saying is that thank God that you said the record straight. I wouldn't want to go there. The president, and we've been very consistent, that in the major sectors of the economy, we have done better. That's a fact. He said something that was also not factual, that the agricultural sector is growing negative. It is not true. The agricultural sector since 2017 to today has never grown negative. In fact, they left the agricultural sector in the negative. Your own portal published it. In fact, when you go to industry, we will not look at, I will not get us to look at, he's talking about we shouldn't look at the GDP. Let's look at industry. Industry are doing 3 point something. At least we are doing about 8.9. Let's go and let's look at trade balance. We're doing negative. It means that they were importing more than they were exporting. We're doing negative trade balance. We are doing positive. In fact, truth is that we are not saying that there have not been challenges. I have maintained in almost every platform. On this same platform, I've said that we cannot sit and say that Ghana turned into heaven in 8 years. There are genuine challenges we acknowledge. There are genuine challenges that we are faced with. There are genuine challenges that we spoke about. Maybe Ghanaians didn't understand our story. Maybe we didn't communicate as much as we had to. But the fact is that when you pick up major sectors of the economy, like you stated, industry, agriculture, trade balance, GDP, the NDC cannot say that they performed better. That's a fact. And I thank God that it's not me reading from my phone, but it is you and My Joy Online publishing what they know to be the fact.
No, My Joy Online is not their own research. They are publishing from your government.
Oh,
data your government has put out.
But you see, unless
we'll put out the right data.
While we do this, my attention has been drawn that I said something. I think it was a slip of tongue. Let me correct this right now. I don't intend to say that the Supreme Court ordered for a re-collation. I'm saying that they nullified the High Court's ruling. So I've seen some comments on Facebook. Although you guys are being very harsh, thank you for drawing my attention, and that's what I meant to say.
Oh, well, I think largely we all, even us in the studio, got what you're saying. So please, Facebook,
yeah, please,
the NDC Facebook army, relax for.
All right.
But that's a slip. We all get it wrong at times, but it's normal. I'm saying that unless you tell me that My Joy will just put up any information, if I sit here and put up an information that is inaccurate, I'm not sure that My Joy Online will just pick up the information and throw it out there because it's just a statement coming from an MPP, former parliamentary candidate. I think that fairly, let's give some credit to My Joy, or Joy FM or Multimedia. Fairly, they would validate some statements, especially so when I seek to speak on authority. So if they've allowed this on their portal, it seeks to say or seeks to suggest that those sections, those issues that they have published, there's some validation is them. If you have contrary opinion, put it out. You are saying that not until the president-elect becomes the president and he issues out the real state of the nation address, this data are wrong. Okay. You don't have any.
Doug,
let me wrap up. You do not have
about 30 seconds, and we move on to other.
You do not have
other websites.
Industries like Dark and Lovely, industries that closed down. Yeah. And then they closed down and left Ghana.
But you're asking your propaganda elements.
That were in existence. They stayed in Ghana. Some of them have been in Ghana for about 30 years, 20 years, and all that. That left this country. Some of the industries that they even said they were going one district, one factory, that have not been able to materialize them as of now. How does the industrial sector grow? We're importing. When Burkina Faso, there was an issue with their overthrow, and then they ban the onion farmers and those people, cars from coming to Ghana. We have serious issues in Ghana. The Minister of Agric went to Parliament saying that there's a possibility that we are going to have famine in Ghana, so they need additional funds so that they can be able to support the agricultural sector. How do you come and give me a figure. The government will give me a figure that the Greek sector is growing. From cocoa to onions to tomatoes, everything. They are important. And in 2016, it wasn't saying.
30 seconds and it's up.
And in 2016, it wasn't saying. So I'm saying
on graphic online,
the numbers.
You know that this argument we are having, it can go on.
No, but hold on.
In fact, the arguments that every Ghanaian is making, whether the figures that are being churned out actually a reflection, and every sector have their own issues.
Challenges.
Their whole
I wouldn't want to go into the figures. Just a minute. He did state another untruth that Dark and Lovely and all they are leaving the country. You see, business. Let me use multimedia. Multimedia could have a focus that good. You used to have this program when I was in the secondary school. It was something I never missed. Old school reunion. I don't know if you remember Old school reunion. Those that hold on. I'm coming.
But they've left.
Oh, please hold on. Every business is or are able to look at a focus in a market at a particular time T and decide that at this time of my business, I would want to either put a halt to my business operations or not. Let me give you an example for Twitter. Twitter got into Ghana, and less than a year, they were changing management, and Twitter decided that I'll fold up Twitter Africa and Twitter West Africa in Ghana.
I have to get to your point.
No, what I'm saying is that business people, industry players would move out or move in, not because the industry is not growing. I gave the Twitter example. It was just an owner of Twitter deciding that as part of my operations.
Did you actually get to the fact of why these businesses were leaving the country?
No, but I could give you an example.
Do you know?
I do. I do.
Is Global one of them?
Yeah.
Global did.
Did you get to read about why they left?
I think fairly I did.
Dark and Lovely and the rest.
No. What were the issues?
Okay.
Wait, what were the issues?
So we cannot say that they did not leave because of the challenges of industry.
No, but we cannot.
The points were both making.
Let me tell you why they left.
Okay.
Oh,
if the environment
you come and do your
was
thing
favorable,
again.
Not the thing, it's the truth.
Right.
Okay.
And they were flourishing.
So let me ask a question.
Ideally,
no, let me ask a question.
They would stay.
Why did Twitter leave?
Okay.
No, why did Twitter leave?
I'm asking you the questions here.
I think to be fair,
Gentlemen, we spent too much time on this.
I think to be fair, Dog preceded the statement by saying that he wants to correct an untruth. He landed and he has not stated a contrary fact. So you need to withdraw that.
What I'm saying is that you are saying, Metal, you are saying that they left because of the hardship, the economic woes we're facing in the country. Right? ShopRite, one of them. I remember ShopRite.
All of them.
And you are saying that they left because of their own reasons.
In some cases.
Let's leave it for them and our audience to judge. So now Graphic Online has some stories here. It says in Keta, unidentified men demolish MCE's private building. And I want to get into that story right now so we can get the details of it. And this is graphic.com. It says, following unresolved issues surrounding the management of the Keta reclaimed land amidst an accusation that the municipal chief executive for the area took the land meant for a stadium to build a private residence on it. Some unidentified men on Sunday morning stormed the area to demolish the MCE's building. And apart from the private story building of the Keta municipal MCE, Emmanuel Gamaga, which has partly been demolished, they also demolished a fence wall of one Rocky Amugi in the area. And this is a sad story. Gentlemen, let me do one more story from graphic.com and then I'll come to you to reflect on these for me. There's also a story here about thieves electrocuted while attempting to steal street lights. This issue about street lights getting stolen. Right, so the story reads, two suspected thieves were electrocuted while allegedly attempting to steal solar street lights in the Ogogbri community of Sangbama local government area. Oh, this is not in Ghana. This is in Nigeria. Okay, so the bodies of two individuals were found on the morning of Saturday near the new site of the state-owned Niger Delta University. Let me find one local story on graphic.com and I'll come to you, gentlemen. Just hold for me. I think I've left the site. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about the demolition of that MCE's building in Keta while I get to other stories. What do you make of it, Doc?
Quite unfortunate. First is whether or not the action is legal or is right. I believe that if indeed is the case that the MCE for the area has encroached, has used some land demarcated for other purpose for his personal good.
Yeah, in this case, a stadium.
I think that that's not appropriate. However, I also think that the rightful way to deal with it is not to go and demolish a property. Assuming without admitting that after demolishing the property, you go through the process of righting the wrong, and then you realize that your action was inappropriate. What happens to this property? So, and this is something that I'm not sure if it happens to me or anybody will be excited about. What I would have preferred is that whether the youth, whoever it is that is aggrieved about a matter, especially when there's change of government, it suggests to say that another MC will come and sit in that chair and would know whether or not there has been some misuse or encroachment or whatever the word is of that said land. That would have been a better approach to make sure that whatever land that is purported to have been encroached, has been abused or whatever by the MC, go through the legal process, go through the process of righting the wrong. However, if you take the law into your hands, go in there, demolish the MC's property, and go a step further to even demolish, I think, one Rocky, who is a private person, who is not even a politician's property, because to you, you think that he's encroached on a land earmarked for a stadium. That is not right.
Yeah, so matters.
Yes, I mean, you don't do that. Once you do that, then you're getting into a banana republic state. And that would mean that once I also feel that Mitchell is some deputy CEO in his building, our time is building. Mitchell, I'll be there with my boys waiting for, but it's not right. I think that in no form should we rationalize this action. If you feel it's wrong, go to the rightful process and make sure the right thing is done.
Mitchell.
You know, just like I condemned the acts of people like Kwabenya and others when the NDC lost power in 2016, just going out there harassing people, seizing cars and all that. I'm going to condemn this one as well. You wouldn't even know whether it's from NDC youth or even from MPP youth. Let's take it that it's from the people of Ghana. You know, that is why His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the trustworthy one, the man who is focused and poised to work for the people of Ghana, immediately, even before the swearing-in, set up the oral team. So the oral team is to make sure that we reduce some of these occurrences. So if the youth or the group that did the demolition, they have a case, they should have just contacted, and there's a toll-free line. They could just contact the oral team and tell them that, okay, we think the MC has encroached on the land that was earmarked for a stadium, and the other private developer, Rocky, as well, so that they do the investigation and then give the data to the state agencies that are in charge of prosecution. Nobody listening to me this morning, whether MPP. You know, some of the MPP people, some people might think that these are NDC people who have embarked on the demolition. Some of the MPP youths also feel that some of these acts by their leaders also caused their defeat, so they are also angry. Whether MPP, NDC, or whoever it is, we are saying that it's wrong, and we should desist from engaging in acts like that. There are processes that people follow that can legally acquire some of these properties, okay, and then they buy them for reasonable prices. But some of them too, you see the price they buy them, a land can cost about 200,000 Ghana cedis, and they buy them like 5,000 Ghana cedis and all that. So if you have any information, whoever you are listening to, the oral team has been set up by the president-elect and is really poised to make sure that we recover most of these stolen state lands and these corrupt monies. Just give the information to Team Oral. You can contact them on their toll-free line, and then they'll do the investigation and give the data to the...
Let's do one last story before we...
Why the laughter? It looks like Oral will solve every problem in this country.
I didn't say anything.
No, it looks like it.
So let's go...
We are with Oral.
Sports now. So, I mean, Ghana Black Galaxies failed to qualify for CAN following loss to Nigeria. Is it CHAN? CHAN, yeah, that's the African Nations Championship. So are we going to ever qualify for anything? I want to read the story before I come to you, gentlemen. So the Black Galaxies of Ghana have been eliminated from the 2024 African Nations Championship, CHAN, after a disappointing 3-1 loss to Nigeria in the second leg of their qualifier at Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo on Saturday. And following a goalless draw in the first leg in Accra, Ghana needed a decisive result to book their ticket to the tournament. And looks like we didn't get that. However, Nigeria came out with intent and took control early in the game. And, well, they made it. Gentlemen, how do you feel about the state of our should I call them once in a lifetime ago champions, Ghana Black Stars, Ghana Black Galaxies, we were forced to contend with. And now it looks like we can't even qualify for any of the national tournaments. That's sad, isn't it? Metal.
Yeah, I think that your question was right, but you left something. Ever since Akufo-Addo came,
don't make this politics.
I'm really qualified. No.
When I said it was a lifetime ago.
If you are looking at the holistic overview of our sports sector, not even the football, from athletics.
But I think we've gone 2 decades without winning any tournament. So you can't blame the Akufo-Addo administration.
Your question was qualified. Well, you didn't say win.
But I'm saying
that under this kind of administration, okay, almost everything sports has gone down. Not only football, almost everything sports has gone down. Olympics, we don't qualify. Boxing has gone down. Football has gone down the drain. But I think that, the only thing that brings us together in this country is sport, especially football. There are some other disciplines that we've done well in those disciplines over the period that we as a country have not really invested in those sectors. The next NDC administration that is coming, I think that we should focus more there, because we can also create a lot of employment and even get a lot of money coming into this country from those sectors. But then in the whole, our football, even from if you look at the coast football, and I wonder why our days in secondary school, you know, this inter-schools football competition, it was very competitive. And from there, you can get talented players over there. Even those times that we didn't have a lot of astroturfs in the system. But then Ghana was doing well in sports. Under their regime, I'll credit them with the fact that they built a lot of astroturfs. But yet you see that our football is going down. In small communities, you come to my constituency, like Kuku, I think there are about 2 astroturfs that were built under their regime. But then sports is going down. We used to play harvest during our yearly homework, where football scouts come and then they get talent. Today, harvest has gone down, coast football has gone down, inter-schools football competition. So we're not getting the talent. And it's become like if you don't have a godfather. You don't have a godfather in the football fraternity, then you don't get to play any of the national teams. We need to stop the bias.
However, we cannot blame the failures of our sports industry, particularly football, on one administration.
We're talking about a particular, you said qualification. And I was telling you that ever since
qualification now it's qualifying, playing to win, and actually coming back.
We qualify for Brazil. You know what we qualify for Brazil? We were not able to qualify from the group stages, and the issues that have been with that. The ultimate responsibility is to the leadership.
No. All right, hold it there for me.
2022.
So holistically,
hold on.
So just do
2022. There was a World Cup tournament. Did Ghana play?
I don't follow football, so
you don't follow football. You see, when we're in there, I was telling you that my only source of excitement now or entertainment is football. Liverpool. Fact is, you see, the football people are seemingly running our game down. Once we allot that blame to politicians, they get away with it. And that is what we are doing to ourselves.
What do you think it is? Management or talent?
Like you said, most of them, it's become personality management. Praise singing. So we've heard some people have left the Black Star complaining that because I was not singing the praise of this manager, I was not close to this GFA boss, GFA that, they stopped calling me to the Black Stars. We've seen Black Star players not having the zeal and the ability to die for their country. In fact, we've seen some Black Star players, even when injured, would still opt to come and play for the Black Star. It doesn't happen like that. We've seen Black Star players complain. I heard Sule Mutari say that some players got injured playing for the Black Star, and the GFA didn't even decide. They didn't even go to visit the player. So from time to time, once the player does not feel unfit, the slightest, he will not come. But he's scared that when I get injured, my main club will not give me what it is that I expected. I don't get playing time. These are purely management issues. What we need to do is not to allot the blame to politicians. Once you do that, those that manage our football will get away with it. Let's come back. Again, he said, Olympics, we had all African games. And for the very first time in the history of this country, Ghana won the most medals. So I'm just saying.
From that,
let's
all African games.
You are now going to another realm.
No,
his argument. Contest. His argument is that we are in every aspect of sports. because of Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, we are not doing well. And I'm saying that.
Also because of him.
No,
but that's a good counter-argument. You can.
Yes, under his leadership. That's what I'm saying. And under his leadership, we are having the worst. I'm saying that that's not factual. For the very first time in the history of this country, we had the most medals in an African Games competition. In fact, in fact, for his time, we had even a medal in the Youth Olympics. So these are things that I don't want us to focus on the politicking. Fact is that the managers, in fact, it breaks my heart. Being somebody who is a football person, I've played a little football, I'm a football person, I watch football. Black Stars' performance breaks my heart. I hope and pray that the managers of football would realize that it is not how much they make for themselves, but it is how much or how Ghanaians love their football. In fact, Ghanaians love football. So please, football people, we beg you. Look at me and I beg. Make sure that you get us the best players. It was heartbreaking.
Former, is it former? Because
no, please,
the election is over now.
Former.
Yeah.
Now,
parliamentary candidates for Ejuma Koya Museum. And Mr. Metso Nuno, NDC Communications team. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for breakfast. I just want to put out there again on record, I mean, and we'll get into the story later on in our big stories, but we know that following the initial dispute of the collation of some constituencies, the High Court directed the EC to recollate and redeclare some constituency results. Now, the NDC challenged that. They said it was unlawful, there were some procedural inconsistencies. The Supreme Court further reviewed the decision of the High Court and nullified that. So I take responsibility for that slip. The Supreme Court did not order for a recollation. And when we get into our big stories, we'll bring you the details of that. Sports is coming up next. You want to stay with us on the AM show. We'll be right back.
The Electoral Commission has yet again suspended the declaration of the final results for Dom-Kwabenya. Now, this is as a result of the Commission and the political parties not being able to take a decision on one outstanding polling station after collating 2 out of the 3 outstanding that were supposed to be looked at. Let's go back to the start of the process where there was disagreement and chaos among the parties as to the exact number of polling stations to be considered. So according to the NPP's parliamentary candidate, Eroma Ikokwe Jr., he was insisting that the EC should reconsider some 88 outstanding polling stations. According to him, when chaos erupted at the collation center at Dom-Kwabenya on the day of collation, the EC was left with 88 polling stations to collate when the NPP had to abandon the process. They went further to collate 85 out of the 88 behind the back of the NPP, leading to the declaration of the NDC's Elmina Akurugu as winner. And so he was insisting that the parties should agree to collate 88 of the outstanding polling stations. This is the position of the NDC to his suggestion.
I said they choose to read different laws when it suits them. Regulation 48 of CI 127 says that the absence of a party agent or a candidate does not invalidate an action taken by the Electoral Commission. They should go and read. They are confused.
After the long battle and some sort of conclave between the NDC, the NPP, and the EC, they have agreed to go ahead with the 3 polling stations. But one of the polling stations still has a challenge, so it was agreed that it will be stepped aside and 2 of them, which had no issues, be recollated. And so at the end of the recollation process, the NPP's Mike Okwe Jr. had some 50,567 votes, with the NDC's Elmina Akurugu getting some 50,732 votes, with a vote difference of 165. It was agreed that if they add the total voting population of the outstanding 3rd polling station, which is some 669 registered voters, to the result of the 2nd candidate, it would alter the final result.
Deputy Commissioner in charge of training at the EC, Dr. Sribo Kwaku, said the elections at the particular polling station in question at Bokobi Women Development Center 2 must be rerun for final determination of the results.
Here's a reaction of both the NDC and the NPP to the position of the EC.
The decision from the commission is that there's going to be rerun in that polling station, and that's what we are going to do.
Are we going to see active campaigning from the NDC?
Everybody who is supposed to be on the register, the new patriotic party is going to reach out to them.
No, I'm saying we have won the election.
So that means you're not going to campaign back at the Bokobi station?
Campaign, you are talking. I say we have won the election. You are talking. The document will show. Let's come back. We are coming back with it. We'll go and sit down, do the arithmetic for them.
We wait on the EC to fix a particular date for this rerun for a final declaration of who the MP elect for Dom-Kwabenya will be.
From the EC Coalition Center here in Accra, my name is James Abeje reporting for Joy News.
Now let's listen to the EC's Director of Training, Dr. Sribo Kwaku, on what his reflections are.
We were given an assignment by the commission that from Dom-Kwabenya, the report from the returning officers was that they have concluded collating 367 police station results. They were left with 3 of the results. And the 3 of the results were brought later. And the commission rejected one of it outright on the sense that it was declared on a wrong statement of poll because they use training sheet, which is not the one that they should use. So the commission has rejected one. So we tried to come and add the 2 and see what happens. So when we added the 2 based on their statistics, the difference between the 2 candidates is now 165. Then the one that was rejected, the total number of voters was 669, meaning that if you give that number to the second person, he will overtake the first person. So it means that you have to go and rerun election at that polling station. So that's the decision.
What's the name of the polling center, please?
I don't have it offline, so I can't tell you.
How soon is the commission going to take a decision? The name again?
Abokobi Women's Development Center 2. So we are sending our report to the commission. Then the commission will take a decision on when it should be done. But you are sure that it will be done before they are inaugurated. Yes.
You are sure all these things are not working against your timelines?
I'm saying that you are sure that will be done before the inauguration.
So let's discuss this. We have joining us via Zoom Most Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante. He's former National Peace Council Chairman. We'll also be joined by Dr. Rashid Tanko-Computer, NDC Deputy Director of Elections and IT. Gentlemen, good morning. Do I hear Most Reverend Emmanuel Asante?
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. How about Dr. Tanko-Computer?
Very well, very well.
Okay, great. I want to start with Most Reverend Asante. Rev, I'm sure you follow the story so far. Dom-Kwabenya, that election has to be rerun in some polling stations. And then we'll move on to what's happening in the Supreme Court and the EC's reaction, or should I say rejection of what the Supreme Court is saying. But what are your initial thoughts on everything happening right now?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the Constitution of Ghana makes it clear that government powers rest in the sovereign will of the people. And this is exercised through the franchise, universal adult suffrage. So I believe that when people above from 18 and above who are sane have exercised their franchise, they have the right to know how it went, that every vote must count. And therefore, to resist, not to allow people's vote to count becomes an issue. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. And therefore, it is important that in areas where they think that some polling stations have not been counted, or in areas where somebody, a particular party, thinks that there's been a raw deal on their part. If they have gone to the courts and the courts have given orders, it is important that they are allowed to do what is expected to be done so that their rights will not be infringed on.
Thank you. Let me hold it then go to Dr. Tanko. Doc, it's been 23 days after election 2024. You have not had a moment's rest. What do you make of everything happening so far before we get surgical with the issues?
Very well. Let me say good morning to Reverend and to you, Suresh, and all the cherished viewers. Clearly, all these difficulties we are going through is as a result of the behavior of the Electoral Commission, the posturing of the Electoral Commission. They are the cause of all these problems that we are going through under this current dispensation. It's very bad. It's not fair enough at all. It's not fair to we, the political parties. We've not had rest during the Unitide, and up to now, we're still battling with issues that they know very well that they are the cause of all this mess. Otherwise, why should we have difficulties if we all decide to go by the rules? We should all decide to comply with the very CI which mandates them to run the election. I mean, we wouldn't have these problems. All these problems is caused by the EC.
Okay.
It's just that we don't want to face it in Ghana.
Okay.
That is why we have these difficulties.
Doc, from the reports that my colleague James Aveji brought us, it looks like there was a 165 total votes difference in terms of what Elikli Makugu made and Michael Okwe Jr. made. So can you tell us what's the wisdom behind rerunning the election in that plea? I know you were there. What was really the wisdom behind rerunning the election in some parts of Dom-Kwabenya constituency?
You see, dear, that is not the true reflection of what transpired on the 9th of December. On the 9th of December, they collated all the pink sheets, including the 3 polling stations. What happened is that those 3 polling stations, they didn't have the hard copies. So they used the soft copies and added it to the results. So they had collated all the polling stations, just that the 3 polling stations, they used soft copies. And so what happened is that after that, when these declarations were made, and on the 9th, including Dom-Kwabenya one, then the commission said, well, because you didn't have the hard copies and you used the soft copies to declare the results, we will want to see the hard copies to confirm the results. So when they requested it from us, we managed to bring 2 because we had 2 of it. Ostensibly, that 3rd one was not the making of our agent. It was the presiding officer who messed up the results by writing the results, in fact, onto a specimen training pink sheet of a presidential one, of course. And she messed it. It wasn't our candidate. So her behavior should not punish our candidate. That is our position. So what happened on that day, that fateful day, when we met on Saturday, was not re-collation. It was a confirmation or authentication of the results, whether we had the hard copies. And we produced the hard copies to confirm that results. So when they came to the 3rd one, and we told them, look, clearly, that one, you should not punish our candidate for that. Punishing our candidate is unfair because the people voted for our candidate. The NDC won that polling station, 223 votes. The NPP had 114 votes. So expanding that result, the polling station from that result will affect our candidate. And therefore, it was not fair to do that. It wasn't the people queue voted, all right, for our candidate, and your own officer caused that problem. So we should not be punished and punish the voters as well.
Do you see a rerun as punishment, Doc? Do you see going back to the polls just for clarity as a punishment?
Of course, why should the voters be punished?
But there's confusion. There's no clarity right now. Each side is arguing that their representative or candidate is the winner. So in order for clarity, transparency to prevail, I just want to understand why you say this would be a punishment on your side.
I am saying that nobody said, the other side said they won the place. clearly on the face of that pink sheet, the one the commission is rejecting. They all signed onto it, and the NDC had 223 votes on it.
Right.
The NPP had 114. So how can 114 overtake 223? I don't know what kind of mathematics is that. And I'm saying that clearly, they should not use their own inefficiency to punish the NDC and the voters. The Abokobi people voted overwhelmingly for Madam Ekurugu Faustina. And it is very clear. So the fact that they've put the results on the specimen picture doesn't mean that they didn't vote or the votes were not counted. That is our beef. And we are saying that it's needless to go for any rerun. The NDC won the place. And we must be declared as such.
So as we speak this morning, as at the time we're having this conversation, you do not agree that a rerun will be the end, bring some conclusion to some finality to the matter? Do you agree?
There's already finality to the matter. The finality is very clear. The people voted overwhelmingly for Madam. And it is very sure, it showed they accepted that, look, true, the results is okay, but it was put on a wrong pink sheet. Why should the party be punished because somebody put it on a wrong pink sheet? It wasn't the parties who put it there. It is the EC. So we also say it was intentional. They intentionally did that so that Madam Akurugu will not be elected. Is that what we are going to conclude?
All right.
Is that our conclusion?
Before I go back to Reverend, it looks like this has been going on for a really long time. I started by saying it's been 23 whole days after we went to the polls on December 7. And if this is the way to actually conclude on all this matter, what could be terribly wrong with that, Doc? Dr. Tanko, this question is still for you. I'm saying that what could be terribly wrong if after 23 days we haven't actually, you are saying that maybe they are miscalculating, whatever, you are alleging, but there is still no actual conclusion on the matter 23 days after. What would be terribly wrong if we go back to the polls so that we can all be clear that indeed, if the people voted for Likli Makurugu, they'll vote for her again in the rerun, will they not?
We are setting a dangerous precedent, and that is what we are trying to prevent. We are setting a dangerous precedent. If a crooked presiding officer knows very well that this is my strong polling station, and the person is against my winning of that place, this is what will happen. The person will come out with the results and put it in a different document, and then the commission will sit and say, we are cancelling that result because it's put on a different document. Is that what the people voted? Reverend was telling you that when people vote, their vote must count. The people voted.
Okay,
and their vote must be counted.
Please hold
It didn't show any overvoting to show that somebody did something evil there, and therefore it should be cancelled. There was nothing like overvoting over there. Clearly, the people voted. Look, if you look at the total number of registered voters there, 689. Those who voted there didn't cross up to the 60%. Of course, it means a lot of people didn't come out to vote. But those who turned out to vote indicated their choice clearly.
Okay.
Clearly. And I'm saying that why would the NDC be punished? Because a presiding officer made a mistake. And you know the mistake? I'll tell you. The lady who was the presiding officer used a presidential, parliamentary pink sheet to fill in presidential results. Okay. So in the course of filling it, they told her that, look, what you are doing is wrong. You are using a parliamentary pink sheet to fill a presidential result. So she cancelled it. When she cancelled it, she now used the correct presidential result to fill the president, because we counted presidential first. Now when it got to the parliamentary, she has no pink sheet again because she has already destroyed the parliamentary pink sheet. So she has to pick a specimen pink sheet, which is in the ballot box they brought, just a specimen, and fill in the parliamentary results, of which all the candidate agents they signed onto it. So they all accepted that.
What do you think was the ideal thing that should have been done in that situation? In your expert opinion, what should they have really done after you discovered that there was a mistake?
Well, that's why I'm saying that what they did was that they needed to bring a replacement. But here's the case. They said the commission didn't have a replacement.
Yeah.
And so in that case, what was she going to do? She couldn't also be carrying the results on her head or on a separate paper. So she decided to use that specimen one. That was an agreement with all the agents at that police station. And they all signed to it.
So the point I'm trying to make is, so there was challenges that this person from the EC had. It's not because they intentionally wanted to do anything against the NDC PC, right, Doc?
So why would the commission cancel that? Why would the commission reject that results? Okay, is it because NDC won it? You see my problem with them. Why didn't NDC want that police station? Why would they cancel it?
Okay, hold for me, please. Reverend, so you said that when people vote, their votes must count. In this particular scenario, issue, it looks like that's what the EC and all parties really are trying to do, to make the people who voted, make their votes count. But clearly, Dr. Rashid Tanko is in disagreement with a rerun. Do you agree or disagree that this will bring finality to the matter?
I believe that we need to find a finality to the matter, and that's why we have referees. I think it is important that in this country we give, we give some sense of respect and trust in the institutions we have put in place. These institutions are not foolproof. They are bound to make mistakes. But when there are such issues, I think it is important that we allow institutions to work. If they can bring finality to the issue through rerun, what is the problem? So as far as I'm concerned, we have the Electoral Commission, we have institutions in place to settle such issues. If they give in to what Dr. Tanko is saying, the NPP will also have something to say. And then we keep on dragging the issue here and there. Let's put a finality to it. The people who voted, this is a big sacrifice they can make for the nation. Let us rerun. Let them go there and show prove their choice. And let's make sure that we are vigilant in terms of counting and ensuring that finality is brought to the issue. I'll plead with all of them. It has taken us a long time. After all, the people have spoken. No matter what happens, the NDC now has the absolute majority. Let us, ensure that the referee in the EC is giving some sense of respect, that some kind of trust. The issue that I have in our country is that anytime the parties are in opposition, they have problems with the institutions in place. When they are in government, they support institutions in place.
Yeah.
I'm saying this because I am up there and I know what is happening. Please, let us put a closure to this. If it is the rerun that is going to solve the problem, let's do it transparently. Let the EC do what they have to do transparently and ensure that a closure is put to this matter. And then we can have a finality. Move on in our country.
Doc, let's move on to another matter and talking about finality and conclusion. Reverend, please stay with me on this. The Supreme Court has quashed an order by Accra High Court for the Electoral Commission to collate the parliamentary results for 4 constituencies. That is Okankwe Central, Tema Central, Techiman South, and Ablekuma North. And the reason was that there were some procedural inconsistencies. Reverend, I know you've been following that matter as well. What do you make of it? The Electoral Commission is saying that they're not, that ruling does not sit well with them. Although tomorrow we are going back to the courts to find out what really happens, and then the NDC MPs to get to have their say. But what do you make of this issue in court over those 4 constituencies as well?
You see, El said that as an internet we have our courts when there are problems. And that's the reason why the Constitution states clearly parliamentary elections are dealt at the High Court. The presidential are at the Supreme Court. If people are not happy, they can appeal, they can go to the Supreme Court. And when the Supreme Court gives direction, please let us, again, I'm coming back to respect of the institutions we have put in place. Let us do what will bring peace, stability, finality, conclusion to this election that we have had. This, whole issue, we will not agree, we will not agree, is not helping the masses, the people who voted. All that we are looking for is that we want to ensure that come January, we have the government in place and promises that were made are being carried out and people are living in this country peacefully. So I would think that the Electoral Commission, if they think that they have a problem with the ruling, why shouldn't they should appeal? But fighting I'm not too sure whether they are fighting, but if they are trying to fight the ruling of the Supreme Court, it's not the right thing that they should do. What the Supreme Court has said should be obeyed. Let us do what is right and ensure that the proper thing is done. I'm saying that after all, no matter what is done, the country, the people have spoken, they have elected their president, they have elected their parliamentary candidates, and nothing is going to change that. Let us not ruin just because of some of these few seats, create too much problems in our country.
Right. And Reverend, let me stay with you for a bit. I mean, as a former Peace Council chairman, how do you see Ghana's conflict resolution mechanisms evolving to handle post-election disputes more effectively?
You see, not until we respect institutions that are put in place. Suspicion is too much. I'm very much sure that in all jurisdictions, people may have difficulties, even in the United States. People who have difficulties with certain institutions. But at some point, if we really want to move forward, let's respect institutions that are put in place. There is too much conspiracy theories going around. And it doesn't help us. Not until we allow our institutions to work and we stop politicizing our institutions with our conspiracy theories, we're not going to get to where we want to go. But so far, so good. I must say, having said all that, we're not that bad compared to other places, but we could do better.
Okay. Thank you. And I'll circle back to you in a bit. Dr. Rashid Tango, computer. So tomorrow you're going back to court to find maybe, hopefully, a finality to the matter of those 4 constituencies that are under contention right now, which the Supreme Court has nullified that ruling from the High Court. What are expectations going into court tomorrow?
Very well, dear. Look, you see our problem in Ghana. Yes, the institutions that we all want to respect, we must free it from political interferences. Then we will all have heads up. We will all respect those institutions. But when you have an independent institution body, where the president will just sit down and appoint party boys to go and sit there to run it as an independent body, we are going to have this problem that we have. That's why we are. And I was suspecting our senior clerics, like my father, Reverend, I had to call them out. Because when they started appointing party apparatchiks as commissioners and directors and all that, what were they expecting? This is what we're going to have in our hands. That's where we are. And I'm saying that institution is fast becoming a lawless institution. I'm not surprised the Supreme Court quashed that decision the High Court gave them to go ahead. Why would they do such a thing to a country like Ghana? Why?
But Doctor, you haven't actually answered my question. Yeah. So how are you walking in tomorrow? What are your expectations?
Yes, our expectation is very clear. I know tomorrow we are going back to court. There is nothing like re-collation whatsoever in our books. Our laws are very clear. We must all commit ourselves to CI 127. There is nothing like re-collation whatsoever in our laws. And that's why when people were thinking that Dom-Kwabenya was being re-collated, it wasn't re-collation. There was nothing like re-collation.
But the Electoral Commission argues differently. They say they wouldn't be the first to re-collate results in this country.
Sweetie, every electoral cycle has its own CI. Every electoral cycle, it has its own CI. Every time we are going to elections since 1992, the first one we have it, and then 96. Then all the way to 2020, the current CI came into force in 2020, and it was signed into law by Madam Jean Mensah. Her signature is on it. So we are using the CI that we used in 2020. They wanted to amend this current CI this year, and we rejected it. We stopped them because they wanted to introduce certain things into the CI, which was going to be inimical to our electoral system. That's why we stopped them from amending the CI. So we are using the same CI we used in 2020. And that CI has not made room for any re-collation. So if you go and bring history, what happened in 2004? 2012. You are confusing the public.
Okay, so I like what you just said about sticking to the CI, and I'm sure the Supreme Court's ruling comes to you as good news. But by overturning the High Court's mandamus, and the Supreme Court actually reinforces that principle, does it not? That judicial remedies must respect the constitutional autonomy and procedural safeguards of public institutions like the EC. And you talk about unfairness and lack of trust in these institutions. But what the Supreme Court did, is it not a right step in the direction to rebuild trust in this institution?
Of course, I agree with you, totally. I agree with you. And I agree with the ruling of the Supreme Court in the sense that, yes, not that we got a total victory. We're saying that, yes, that was the right thing. What the trial judge did was just to bastardize the rule of law and allow an institution which already has a big baggage to carry in terms of credibility to get away with it. And then now that we are going back to it, this mandamus thing mandamus is what? It's just to force a state institution to carry out their own business that they are not doing.
Right.
But this business has been carried out by their own actors. The CI gave those powers to returning officers. And these 4 returning officers carry out those business. They declare the results at the polling collation centers. Publicly, they didn't declare it in somebody's bedroom. They declared in the presence of candidates, in the presence of security. We have evidence. And so if you come and say you are bringing mandamus, for what again? What are you forcing them to do? The thing that you want them to do, they did it. They did it beautifully. And so your duty now, the aggrieved party knows where to get his or her remedies. Go back to the High Court with an appeal when the results are gazetted. So commissioner's business here is to gazette those results so declared on the 9th of December. That is our problem with them. Why are they running away and say that we are going to do re-collation? We haven't finished re-collation. We are going to re-collate and do a re-declaration again. It's illegal. That is what we are saying. So tomorrow we'll go and we'll argue our case forcefully before the trial. Thank God they are bringing us a new judge. The one who did that thing, he was so biased. And I'm happy the Supreme Court set him aside. I mean, we can't continue this path.
I do want to pick your thoughts on this. I mean, from your experience, how can we as a country ensure that the EC remains independent while being held accountable for electoral transparency? And I'm saying this because we have some historical precedents like, the past Techim and South cases and so many others. And the Supreme Court nullifying this High Court's re-collation order is really emphasizing the EC's autonomy. So we as a country, how do we ensure that the EC remains independent while being accountable? Because there's a fine line between judicial interference and the autonomy of the EC. Where do we draw the line, Doc?
It's very clear. From the onset, check from Afarajan Commission and Madame Charlotte Osei Commission. You will not see hardcore party activists sitting there as commissioners. All the president then saw this. They knew of this thing, the independence of the electoral commission. And then so therefore they were very mindful in appointing commissioners about this to safeguard their autonomy, so that would bring us the kind of this thing, how do they call it? Respect of the commission decisions, so that both parties will not have difficulties over decisions coming out from the commission. But what do we see? The current commission, you have hardcore party, MPP party activists who are commissioners sitting there taking decisions, and you expect NDC to close its eye and just accept it, put line and sinker. That's where the problem is. Okay. So we think that going forward, I mean, we must sanitize the way we appoint officers to the commission. We must look at their credentials, their background very well. If you look at some of the declaration they did over there, which was quashed, you have a hardcore party person brought in as a returning officer on that very morning to do re-collation and declare an NPP person as a winner. What do you expect from us?
Thank you. We have the director of election from the NPP also joining us, and let's speak to Evans Nemako. He joins us also via Zoom. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Nemako. He's actually on phone with us. So there are two issues, but let's start with the current topic we're discussing, and I'll circle back to the Dom-Kwabenya issue. So looks like tomorrow there will be a rehearing of that mandamus, and the 4 NDC PCs will be pleading their case at the High Court, although a different judge will be sitting the case. What are your expectations going to court tomorrow?
Thank you very much for having me. I think before I respond to your question, good morning to your viewers and listeners.
Yeah.
I think for us as New Patriotic Party, our position has been clear that the law of trade. But if you sit and you keep on saying that re-collation, the New Patriotic Party did not go to court with our sponsored candidates on issue of re-collation. Let me make it clear. We said the EC should be urged to collect the results and declare a winner. We said the EC should declare the New Patriotic Party as winners. We said they should collect the results as indicated by the CR 127 and declare the winner. What is this issue of all the time re-collation that is being rehearsed every now and then? I think that it's far beside the point. We've said that in these constituencies, there were 12. The EC did not complete collation and couldn't have declared a winner. And therefore, they should be made to do their work as stipulated in the CR 127. Simple issue. If the NDC had allowed collation to continue at the various collation centers in the constituency, we wouldn't have gotten to this stage. And it is one thing we must all get it clear. Interestingly, at all collation centers at the constituency level, were media people, media houses across, were all over and witnessed what happened. The National Election Security Task Force detailed officers to provide security, and there were political parties. Why can't you find out from the EC returning officers and the police what they witnessed? But it's always the case of...
Mr. Nemako, be that as it may... Right, Mr. Nemako, hold for me.
Whether true or false.
Mr. Nemako, I'm saying that be that as it may, the laws or rules of natural justice did not apply. And so that's why the Supreme Court has quashed that ruling to recollate and redeclare. I'm asking that tomorrow you're going to the court...
There should be recollation. The court didn't say that.
I didn't say that. I'm saying that...
To collect results.
Evans, if you just listen to me a second, you get my point.
The Supreme Court then comes to say the NDC were not heard. Go and be heard. That was about it. So what I'm saying.
And I'm asking you, because we're going on about media people and security people being there, and I'm bringing you back to the question I'm asking, that be that as it may, tomorrow you're going back to court so that the rules of natural justice can apply. These 4 NDC PCs will be pleading their case. They will be heard. How are you going into court tomorrow? With your wits about you? I just want to know what your expectations are.
We are in the hands of the court. We are in the hands of the court.
Let me take you back to Dom-Kwabenya issue. And I think the Electoral Commission is set to rerun elections in 3 constituencies. What do you make of that? It looks like it's the only way to bring finality to the matter.
Yes, so the EC said there were 3 outstanding polling stations.
Yes, polling stations.
They managed to secure results for 2. And so there's 1 polling station outstanding. But there's more to it. That's why I'm saying that while collation was going on at the constituency, it was truncated at the point because attack parties undertaking the exercise of collation. But something strange happened, and the EC managed to put the thoughts together with the NEC. Now the point is...
Did you say something strange happened?
Yes, because there was an attack at the collation center.
Right.
On the EC and NPP. And electoral materials were burned, were destroyed. And it is important you call the returning officer and other stakeholders to verify what I'm telling you. And so if you don't want to get to the truth and just want to hear one-sided issue, you will not get it right. That is my position now. For us as New Patriotic Party, the right thing must be done. The return officer must put together results from all the polling stations. Dom-Kwabenya has 369 polling stations plus the special voting center, making 370. But if you put together results that do not reflect what happened, should the New Patriotic Party take it? No.
So you are in agreement then with the EC to rerun the election in those polling stations, just so that we all have clarity on the matter, on exactly who won the election.
State that they will rerun elections in one polling station, and the New Patriotic Party is ready. You will meet again, because before we met, we have not been given copies of the ECs from 1C, but the NDC has been giving copies. Strangely enough. So if this is the way it is being handled, we all need to see. That's why I'm saying that the media who was there to cover must be able to tell the truth as they saw.
We do have Dr. Rashid Tanko here. Doc, is it true that you are the only ones who have the Form 1C? The NPP don't have this, don't have a copy. Do you? Does the NDC have that? Dr. Rashid Tanko.
You know, when your agents decide to run away from a collation center, it does not invalidate the action of the Electoral Commission on the D-Day.
Right.
Regulation 48 of CI 127 is very clear. He's aware. My good friend is aware of it. Evans is aware that their non-existence on that day doesn't mean that whatever happened there, they no hold water. Look, the Form 1C, every agent is entitled to have a copy after declaration. Every agent is there. We should go and read it in the CI. So when they finish, when the returning officer finishes his work, he gives copies from 1C to agent and then from 1D, which is a summary sheet. So you pick 2 copies from the collation center. We were there. We're at the collation center when they finished the collation. So we're entitled to the 2 documents. So we pick our copies. They were not there. They decided to leave because it didn't favor them. That has been their position. Anytime result doesn't favor, they run away. They will run and go somewhere. They won't even come and sign it. If you check most of the results declared from most of the constituencies across the country, where they lost, they ran away. They refuse to sign. That's how they have been being. Then they will go and stand somewhere that strange. How strange is it when you know that if you were there, you have your copy. But if you are not there, where are you going to get your copy? When they did that, their concert party on the 21st at the EC regional office, where NDC officers there, we were not there. The one they quashed, the Supreme Court quashed. We were not there, but they declared among themselves and gave them copies. They have copies there. Do we have those copies? Have you seen us talk about it? Because it was just a charade. It was a concert party thing.
All right,
but just wanted that this one, there was a declaration. We took it, so it wasn't any illegality occasion anywhere. Because they were not there, that's why they didn't have it.
Okay, just wanted clarity on that. Let me go back to Evans Nimako. Evans, so the ruling suggests a delicate balance between judicial oversight and respect for the EC's constitutional role. Reactions have been pouring in that the Supreme Court has actually done a good thing by, questioning that ruling from the High Court. How did that ruling actually come to you?
Well, that's the Supreme Court. And if you believe in the rule of law and the supremacy of the Constitution, you accept it. And what the Supreme Court directed, for us, it doesn't change it, because, yes, the NDC must be heard, and must be heard on good ground. So we are going back to court. It doesn't say that any one of the parties should take the law into their own hands. It doesn't say that. But you hear NDC saying that we will not agree, and that must be the case. And I think it's funny.
It's fine?
It's funny. It's not funny.
It's funny. What's funny about it? Humor me.
That it lies in their mouth that we do not agree. They said from 1C that they have in their possession, which we took copy last time when we met. You just have to do an arithmetic or addition of the figures on the Form 1C, and you realize that what they so claim is not even the case. When the DEC returning officer will just have to put together results from polling stations, simple summation, NDC disagree, and they must look at it properly. And I'm hearing Dr. Tanko, simple mathematics. You force an individual to the extent that he can't get it right.
Evans, it's been 23 days after December 7th election. Are you eager to bring a conclusion to all these outstanding issues that stem from the election? And what is your strategy to actually do that? Bring conclusion and finality to all the issues so that we can move on from election 2024.
It didn't take the New Patriotic Party too much of a difficulty to say that in the presidential election, Mr. Mahama has gotten more votes to constitute government. It didn't take the New Patriotic Party too much of a difficulty. So we wait for EC to gazette the parliamentary results. And you will see from the New Patriotic Party, the petitions will table. Because you will not sit and allow the NDC to use that strategy to distort the will of the people who will come out and you will hear from us.
Evans,
you will use the law to petition.
Thank you so much for joining us. Evans Nimako is Director of Elections and Research from the NPP. Dr. Rashid Tanko, I want to pose the same question to you as my final bit. What would it take for us to bring conclusion, draw the curtains on all the issues stemming from election 2024? From your side, from the NDC? What would it take?
The EC must sit up and respect the very CI they brought in. They must respect it. They shouldn't kowtow to the whims and caprices of the MPP. All these things we are seeing some collusion between the EC and the MPP. That's why we have all these problems. So the only finality we have is that they should respect their CI, which mandates them to do certain actions and not kowtow to the whims and caprices of the. Are they finding it difficult to declare Dom-Kwabenya for NDC? Why? What is their difficulty? What is their difficulty? Why are they running away from their own principles they know? Why? That is our problem with them. So when you continue this way, we are beginning to suspect that it's like there's a collusion somewhere. Somebody doesn't want Madam Faustina to be declared winner. We don't understand. Why? Why should we have to suffer because of your own officers' indiscretion? We don't have to go through this kind of hell the country is going through. Why is the EC putting the whole country into suspense like that?
All right. Right before you go, Doc, Alban Bagbin was saying that I think the 4 NDC MPs or the constituencies whose results are still under contention will not be sworn in. I mean, the MPs will not be sworn in. Any quick reflections on that before you go?
I agree with him. Why should they be sworn in? That was illegal. I'm happy the Supreme Court quashed it. Right. He knew of this. You know, he's a seasoned lawyer. Bagbin is a seasoned lawyer. If he was going to be on the bench, he would have been a Supreme Court judge by now. So he knew whatever was going was illegal. You don't do re-collation and re-declarations. We don't have it in our laws. When we do declaration and you are not satisfied, you go with an appeal to High Court. Then argue your case. The High Court judge will look at the case before them, the evidence before them, and say that the declaration was not properly done and set it aside. Then a new process is done. This is in our law, it's there. But what we are now seeing, the EC is now creating a new avenue where when a declaration is made and I'm not happy and I know I can find favor with the commissioners, I run to them and tell them that declaration was done under duress. So set it aside. Let's do another declaration. So that they will bring some faithful MPP guys to come and do declaration for them. All right.
Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, thank you so much. He's Deputy Director of Elections and IT from the camp of the NDC. Let me conclude with Most Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante, and he's former National Peace Council Chairman. Reverend, thank you for staying with us. So I want to start from the issue of Alban Bagbin saying that MPs elect for those 4 constituencies, those whose rulings have been, those constituencies who, let's say, that there's not been a conclusion on the matter as to who is actually NP for those constituencies, will not be sworn in. What do you make of that?
Yeah, but if it's still in contention and we have not brought finality to it, who are you swearing in?
Right.
I think it's important that we allow the institutions to work. I would want to repeat that. We should stop politicizing our institutions all the time and move away from this conspiracy theory. We've been to court, and the court is saying that they should go back to the High Court. NDC should be given a hearing. let them hear them, and let the judge make his own point. And after which, whoever wins goes, it is declared a winner, and then they can go to Parliament.
It's just a matter of days now, Reverend, and there's a possibility that we could actually get to the swearing in and we will not conclude on these matters. What happens then?
Let me tell you something that happened in this country. Somebody, Adote, was in Parliament for a whole term of 4 years. Her position was in contention. In fact, after the term, it came out clearly that she didn't win. This was if you recollect that, because I used to vote in that area. So, I do believe that they have given them time to work on this. If you have read the books that the Judicial, the Chief Justice and others produce, because they do not want to create these tensions, limited times are given to the judges to work on these things. And I want to believe that the parties will cooperate for a limited time for them to work on what needs to be done. But I'm saying I'll continue to insist, let institutions work in this country and stop politicizing institutions with your conspiracy theories. It doesn't help anybody.
Talking about stop politicizing institutions, there's a school of thought that the EC chairperson should not be elected or appointed by the president. Do you think that's a good call?
Who is going to appoint the person? And a group, if you set up even a committee to appoint that person, will you trust that committee? This is the point that I'm talking about. In every democracy, there must be a modicum of trust that would allow people to accept what is to be accepted. If the president is not going to appoint that person, who is going to appoint that? If Parliament does it, would we still trust Parliament? Are we not going to even blame the majority? Or that we should stop this whole business of conspiracy theory. If you think you have claims, you have reason to believe that a particular institution is not doing the right thing, let's use proper channels to address it.
Thank you so much, Most Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante, former chairman of the National Peace Council. Thank you all so much, gentlemen, for joining us for the big stories. We also had Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. He's NDC Deputy Director of Elections and IT. And we also spoke to Evans Nemako, and he is the Director of Elections and Research for the NPP. Now, let's take you to Dom-Kwabenya live. And my colleague is standing out there, Collins Frimpong is standing there to bring us live updates on what's happening at Dom-Kwabenya. Collins, what can you report?
Right, sweetie, currently I'm at Abukobi in the Dom-Kwabenya constituency. Currently at the Abukobi mini market, which is less than 100 meters away from the Abukobi Women's Development Center. So the polling station is just behind the mini market. This particular polling station is the deciding factor on who becomes the member of parliament for Dom-Kwabenya, whether NDC's Elmina Akulugu or MPP's Mike Eronokwe. NPP has always been the party which wins this particular constituency since we started voting. And in 1992, the NDC has never won this particular seat. But in the 2024 elections, things seems to be in different position, where after coalition was completed in all the polling stations, leaving the Abukobi Women's Development Center alone, which coalition is yet to be completed. Elmina Akulugu is leading with leading with 165 votes. That's ahead of Mike Eronokwe. But the issue with this particular polling station is that results that were collected or results that came from this particular polling station has not been accepted or validated, because according to the Electoral Commission, it was not written on the required sheet, that's the pink sheet, but rather on a cleaning sheet. So as a result, the EC cannot validate this result and accept it and include that in the total votes that were cast in the Dom-Kwabenya constituency. So as a result, the EC has directed that there should be a rerun of election in the Abukobi Women's Development Center in the Dom-Kwabenya polling station. This particular polling station has a total of 669 voters, and they will be the people to determine who becomes a member of parliament for this constituency. Currently, I have some of the constituents here with me that I want to engage them to sort for their opinion on what is happening in the constituency. Good morning, and what's your name?
My name is Godfred Walter.
Godfred, what do you do?
I sell in the market here. I'm a sales boy.
Right. I understand you're also a constituent in this particular constituency. First of all, what is your assessment of the 2024 election in the Dom-Kwabenya constituency?
I think we had a peaceful election here, and the people of this town has made their decision. And the decision is that we want Elikplim Akurugu to be our MP. And that's it. Even if there will be a re-election, the people has made their decision, and the decision is that we want Elikplim Akurugu to be our MP. That's the decision the people has made.
But does this decision to rerun this polling station sit well with you?
It doesn't sit well with me. But then, if God has spoken, God has spoken. So I think we voting for Elikplim Akurugu and there is an issue and they call for another re-vote, the people will make their decision again. The people will stand by their decision again.
So you vote if you are to vote today to select the MP?
I will be honest, I will not vote, but the people will stand by their decision again.
But did you vote in the first election on December 7th?
Yeah, I voted. I voted.
So why won't you vote if the election should take place again?
I'm busy. That's why I can't make it up to the voting place.
So that's Godfred. He's also a constituent in the Dom-Kwabenya constituency, and he is saying that the people have already made their decision, and it is Akurugu that they have voted for. But on whether he will vote or not, he says he will not vote. But let me try and get more people to speak to. Daddy, just 1 minute. Good morning.
Boss, I am a senior, but like, oh, my pressure.
Right. Sweetie, that's we are currently at the Abukobi Women's Development polling station, mini market. The mini market is just behind the polling station. We are trying to speak to more of the constituents in the Dom-Kwabenya constituency.
Well, while Collins interacts with more residents of that particular area, we will take a break and we'll return with more on the AM show. But one of the guy who spoke to Collins said something interesting, that he himself might not go and vote, which means that the issue could also be that the number of people that turn out to vote on December 7th could reduce. And what are the implications of that as well? But we'll follow it and we'll keep you up to speed on everything that's happening on the aftermath of election 2024. We'll take a break now. I'm Sweetie Abochi. We'll be back with more on the AM show. And we're back on the AM show, and we are engaging some of the new entrants who are just going to Parliament for the first time. You know that in election 2024, so many constituencies turned green. Some were NPP strongholds that turned green, others swing that just voted for NBC candidates. Today in the studio with me is Dr. Othniel Kwenu. He's MP-elect for Ekumfi, and he's a new entrant. He joins me in studio for a conversation. Doc, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your victory.
Thank you again.
I'm sure the people of Ekumfi are happy that they're getting you for their member of parliament.
Yes.
How's the feeling?
Thank you once again. Before I start, I'd like to say a big hello to the incoming President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, and also our first ever Vice President, female for that matter, Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman. Very good morning to all of you. And also to my Paramount Chief Odefachin and the Queen Mother of Ekumfi. Thank you very much. And all the wonderful viewers and the people of Ekumfi. Thank you so much. So, to your question, I think you asked, how is it feeling like?
Yeah.
I think it's all excitement. I'm not necessarily so new to the constituency. I've been around for quite some time now, and I've had quite good relationships with them. So I think my coming hasn't really been much of a surprise.
Okay.
People had seen what I had done over the years.
And you did contest twice already, 2019 and 2008?
Correct. So 2019, I contested in Ekumfi. I came second.
Okay.
We were about 5, including the former MP, Kuntu Blankson, and the current MP, Abeku.
Kuntu Blankson?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I came second. So I've been fighting a good cause, and the people of Ekumfi realized that given the opportunity, I will be able to do something new. So today I'm here as MP-elect, and I'm hopeful.
Yeah, well, congratulations again. But we do want to get to know who you are, and you'll be in Parliament, so we'll be watching out for you and some of the things you'll be doing for your constituency. But how would you describe Dr. Othniel to someone who was just watching you for the first time? Who is Dr. Othniel?
Thank you again. Othniel is a very simple person. Basically, I'm in a family of 4. My dad was the former Deputy Controller and Accountant General in 1979. Rose to the ranks with PNT those days. My mom is an educationist. She runs a school.
Okay.
Yes. I'm married with 3 kids. I went to St. Augustine's College, and APSU, I greet all of you. And basically went to school at Central University, went to GIMPA, I did my PhD in Ballsbridge. Currently, I'm enrolled with Nobel International Business School.
Okay.
And started politics around 2008, Ablekuma South, became constituency chairman in Ablekuma West. I started Ekumfi politics 2016, had my first contest 2019.
Why did you move from Ablekuma to Ekumfi?
Well, my origins are from Ekumfi. My dad hails from there, and so is my mom. So basically, I felt I needed to go back home to help my people, because I could see there were quite a few challenges that I could probably help, given the opportunity. So I took advantage of that. I came to study in Accra as constituency chairman. And I think I did quite well, if I should ask my people in Ablekuma West. And then today, I'm fortunate to be given the nod in Ekumfi to work for my people.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You mentioned challenges. I want to believe that most leaders identify challenges that they want to fix. That is why they run for office, or that is why they, for you, for example, that is why you want to go to Parliament. I want to understand what the issues are that you identified and what you intend to do about those issues, especially in your constituency. What are those challenges that you identified?
Thank you very much. I think my constituency is quite a unique one. Actually, former President Atta Mills hails from there, so
yes.
There's quite a few things that we
Of course, it's popular because we know the Ekumfi Jews.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one thing that people talk about quite a bit. But Ekumfi has quite a lot of diversity. We have fishing communities, we have farming communities. But in terms of our challenges, there are quite a few. Our roads are really quite deplorable. I've done my part. Even before becoming an MP, I've tried my best to actually do a few things that's going to help the lives of our people. Well, you would say that an MP doesn't do roads, but in this election...
I was going to actually put that to you, that MPs don't do roads. So how are you going to fix roads?
We're forced to do roads, unfortunately. But at least what we did help the lives of our people. There's one particular road which is quite a political one. It's called the Elmina Road. And if you look at the citizens that live around there, they are very, very business-minded. They travel a bit, and so their voices are really heard. So that road is quite a critical one for all of us. And fortunately, I tried my best. I reshaped it. It's a 15-kilometer road, and that was really a lot of work.
Where did you get funding?
Actually, I've worked quite a bit in my life. I've done about 20 years of banking. So in terms of resources, well, I had a few of my own working for me, and I had support from other people as well.
You see, when that's they say the devil is in the details. That's where the question is.
Yeah.
You know what they say in our local parlance, because some people supported you, and at the end of the day, you could or could not be at their beck and call because you owe them a favor or two. Mm-hmm. If these people came calling and said, we gave you X amount of money to do your roads, we funded your campaign, and so we want so and so in return. What do you do?
Well, to a large extent.
And I want you to say it on record because you're going to Parliament for 4 years and we'll be monitoring you.
Yeah. Well, I've been a trader before. We say your word is your bond. So whatever we say, we stand by it. And to be honest, yes, people helped it, but I usually wouldn't go for funding that would give me issues. So these are like little here and there, just basically to cushion the system. But in terms of funding that may require you to actually comply with people's requests, I usually wouldn't go near it because I'm a very independent person, independent-minded. I want to do things that I think should order well.
You're very independent, you meant to say?
Yes, independent. Okay. Independent, yes. So I would rather not fall for that. I want to do stuff that is going to help me, especially in future, because probably my ambitions may be more than what I see now. Who knows? So obviously, whatever I do, I try to do things that would necessarily help me as I move forward in life or in my career.
Okay.
So largely, yes, people helped, but quite a chunk of it also came from myself.
Okay, so let's go back to the challenges. You mentioned roads. That is what brought us to the issue of funding.
Yes.
What else?
So roads, and also you talk about education. We have a few schools in Ekumfi from the basic level to the secondary level. Those are what we have. We don't have any technical and vocational school, which is one thing that I've promised my people that given the nod, I'll try and work and see whether we can get one. Also, one of the biggest challenges, we have a school called T.I. Ahmadiyya,
yes,
which is doing quite well. I know our former MP, Atukujo, came from there, who's on the other side, NPP. And that school is doing quite well. But there are other schools which need quite a bit of help. In recent times, when President Mahama was on his tour, we mentioned to him that boarding facilities has become a very big issue for Atamil Secondary and also for the Achin Senior High School. There's also other ones which are private, but these two are basically, those are on the government side of things. And we think that putting together a boarding facility would help them in terms of student intake and also to ease the pressure on the free SHS that's been introduced and also to get students to come in more. And talking to the president, he indicated that God willing, which God has, he would look at it and also be able to help in terms of putting up such accommodation facilities for the children.
So and roads, education, let's cap it at 3.
At 3, yes. Jobs.
Yeah.
It's a very big issue.
Of course, that's what your party came up preaching.
So the 24-hour economy definitely is one thing that resonated well with the people. So largely, quite a chunk of the youth have become people who travel because of no jobs. And it's one thing that really worries us a bit. And I think that coming on board, I would want to really see that change. Try to get investors with my background to come in, set up a few things. And also, agriculture is one of the main activities we have there. I was hoping that planting for food and jobs was going to help, but to be honest, it's been a bit of a disaster. Fishing also, yes, very key. I know my friends on the coastal belt who really voted for me are really looking forward to what I can do to also improve the situation on the fishing side of things. So these are the 3 things that I really want to focus on so that we can better the lives of our people and also to transform Ekumfi because we really need a lot of work. And I know that there's a lot of people are really looking up to me to be able to change the fortunes of Ekumfi and create a platform where the young ones can really showcase themselves to the world. Because we really have quite intelligent children over there. And I think that I'm willing and ready to also work with them to drive Ekumfi forward.
Okay. We'll come back and talk about Ekumfi, the factory and all that. But I want to put something to you. Often, When we see new entrants or people who were in the public spaces and they get elected or appointed into office in a government position, it's as if all the issues they identified and the plan they had to actually fix those issues disappears or become negligible in from their perspective when they actually get to office.
Okay.
I like to say it's as if something happens on the seat. When they get there, they just forget. Would it be disingenuous of us as Ghanaians to think that everything you're saying to us right now is just a matter of time? Once you get to Parliament, you probably forget that you had such an ambitious dream to turn Ekumfi around. What happened? What do you think happens to, government officials who are preaching virtue when they get there and they start practicing vice? And then what are you going to say as an assurance to those watching you and your constituents right now that they can hold you to when you go to Parliament and, the course of your 4-year term?
Thank you very much again for the question. Well, I'm yet to enter the chamber, so I don't know.
You're yet to see it.
Yes. I'm yet to experience what's in there. But, for me, largely, over the years, right, I really identify with my people and the plight of my people. So because of that, I always try to do things that will make the people know and believe in what I stand for as a person. Now, if you go to my constituency now, even though I am not the MP, I have tried to do quite a few things that would showcase myself to the people and let them know that this man is different. If I go reshaping a 15-kilometer road, that hasn't happened.
Well,
before.
you did it because you have political ambitions, no?
Not necessarily. There were other roads that I did before then. I've put up an ICT lab, which Professor Nana, thank you for coming to open it for us. I'm on the verge of setting up a poultry farm. I'm on the verge of setting up a gari processing plant. Okay. There are a few things that I've put in place that I think that just to create some sort of employment for my people, right? And I've worked with the Education Directorate over these years to make sure that education is doing well. I've also worked closely with the chiefs, basically to look at things that we can do that will augur well for our people. One thing that I've always said during my campaign is that Ekumfi, we have pockets of, let's say, festive times. Everybody celebrates their own.
Okay.
If you go to Kumasi, there's something called Akwesida, where everybody comes together to make it big and all that. But in Ekumfi, we don't have one. So I've also indicated to them that I would wish that Nananom will join hands so that we can come out with our own festival to make our people come together. And I think some of these things that I am thinking of eventually will inure to the benefit of all of us. So I'm really keen on doing it. I don't intend to change. I'm one person, I want to be original. If you ask anybody around me, they'll tell you that Akokwenu, the way he is, that's how you're going to get him. So I really have doubts that we'll be getting to the chamber. I don't know what spirit is there, but...
You think it's a spirit?
I have my own. I have my own that I carry along with me. I believe that a good name is always better than riches.
Right.
So
I think about 2 weeks ago, Ekumfi juice workers were appealing for continuation of that initiative. I don't know if it's come to your attention. They were appealing to President-elect John Dramani Mahama to help, expand the factory's capacity to produce more. I'm trying to get that article, more raw materials for production. They're saying that it's not all in all bad, but there's so much more that they can do. Have you looked that way yet? What do you think are the gaps that need to be filled in? Is that one part of your plan, the juice factory specifically?
Yes. Actually, I'm also a farmer.
Ah, okay.
Yes. I won the 2022 District's Best Farmer, 2021, and 2022 I won Central Regional Best Pineapple.
You are a man who wears many hats. Huh?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So I have a 60-acre pineapple farm at Nanabing, Ekumfi Nanabing. And I did that because I realized that Ekumfi, the land was very fertile for pineapple production. So I veered into it. Currently, I employ about 20-25 people. I have other farms as well, but the pineapple is mostly what I really look at. And I did supply a Ekumfi juice factory quite a few times. But I know they have challenges, especially with outgrowers. There are quite a few of them, so they cannot produce all year round. Beyond that, I think they also have financial constraints. And I am hopeful that with the advent of the 24-hour economy, where the government is looking to run things basically the whole 24 hours, it will be good for us, especially when the program starts, for us to be able to pitch Kumfi juice, first of all, to help outgrowers to be more, so they can have more produce to produce more juice for us. Because I realize that the juice is selling quite a bit outside of Ghana as well. And if we are able to get this company to stand on these 2 feet, it will basically create a lot of employment, not only on the factory side itself, but beyond that, the farmers are going to go into more of pineapple production so that we can have a lot of revenues coming to them as well. I know the financial constraints are quite huge, so I've had a few complaints of staff not being paid and all that. But I think that if we're able to put them on board this program where they get support from governments, I think it will really help the company to do well, and of course help the farmers as well. So it's one area that I'll really be looking at to help that company.
Looks like at the core of all the ambitious plans you have for the constituency, funding is very pivotal to the successes of all of them.
Right.
How do you intend to actually mobilize funds? And when we talked about roads, we said MPs don't build roads. So how are you going to mobilize funds to actually execute all these ambitious tasks you've set upon yourself?
Yes, thank you once again. I think that for me, coming into politics, I lived a life where, as I indicated, I've done banking for quite a while.
So you're a rich man, eh? Money no be problem.
Well, I pray to God to add more to it. Yeah, so I'm looking at a situation where we will look for investors. I happen to be in Treasury for most of my life in banking, so obviously I have a sense of how to pitch for investments and all that. I intend to use this position as a platform where I can use my knowledge, especially in that industry, to look for investments that's going to come to a Kumfi, to set up companies, and also to create jobs for my people. And I believe that with this know-how and knowledge, I also have a sense of how things work in that industry, and also have a few contacts within that space that I can fall on to drive that agenda in terms of funding for these projects. So I'm quite happy about where I find myself now, especially that I can fall on my past experience and knowledge to be able to harness this level of investment for my people.
Okay. Posterity will tell how well you do. Let's step away from what you do, your constituency, and talk about some national issues that I want to take your reflection on, starting with, of course, aftermath of election 2024. It's been 23 days. There's still issues that need to really be concluded on. We're just talking to Dr. Rashid Tanko from your party, I think Deputy Director of Elections and IT. And for Dom-Kwabenya constituency, they disagree. Although the EC is set to rerun in some polling station, he disagrees. Then there's those 4 constituencies currently in court that the Supreme Court had quashed the ruling of the High Court. What do you make of all this?
Well, I think largely it's all good for our democracy.
Is it?
However, I think that it must not negatively affect the outcomes of our election that we have. Because if I remember quite clearly, there were about 9 constituencies outstanding when President Mahama was declared president. But I think that there are a few scares around the 2/3 majority that NDC is likely to have, and the potential that it could give them when they assume office. That's why a lot of discussions have gone around. But coming back to Dom-Kwabenya, I did read a few things about it. I mean, CI 127 clearly states what the regulations are on public elections, and also the responsibilities of returning officers and presiding, and everybody around the electoral role. And I also did see on social media when the declarations were being made by the returning officer, I didn't see any form of, forcefulness or duress or anything. Well, I didn't see.
Did you see that particular video? Eko, help me with the name of the particular constituency where they held the hand of the guy and he was visibly shaking. Did you see that?
Well, I haven't come across that yet. But I think, you know, at the end of the day, right, so long as you are doing the right thing, it shouldn't be a matter of somebody forcing you or coercing you to do what is not right.
Yeah, I'm only saying that because you said you didn't see.
No, I didn't see, yes.
You didn't see that?
No, I haven't seen that. I haven't
Tema
seen
Central.
That. Tema Central, I haven't seen that. So I'm not in a position to speak to that. But I mean...
No, you didn't see that. You just referenced social media. That video, I'll wager you...
Maybe you can share with me.
More than, okay.
Maybe you can share with me after
if you
this
didn't
one.
see it, then that's fine.
But what I did read about was the Dom-Kwabenya one, where I think the MPP were saying that about 88 polling stations had issues. Eventually, when they met the EC, my understanding is that it was only 3. And those 3, the NDC,
two came in
and one is still outstanding. So, I mean, that is an easy fix for me, from where I sit. I think that they can easily look at the pink sheet. But I'm surprised as to why you will not find your pink sheets, because that's like the basic document for deciding who is victorious. So if you don't find it, then I find that a bit interesting. But I think that also the EC should have a copy of these documents. So it should be an easy reference point for anybody to actually make a call as to who actually won. But I think that what matters the most is the will of the people must be reflected at the end of the day. So however it takes, if it means, having to... No, for those polling stations, yes, not necessarily the entire one. I think that would help, because eventually the will of the people must be reflected, and they must know that the right thing has been done. And especially for future elections, which will be coming up, if we're able to fix such issues now, it makes the future elections quite okay for us. So we don't have all these businesses of having to fight, destroy ballot boxes, and all these things do not really augur well for us. And internationally, our reputation is also affected. But generally, I think that this election has been quite peaceful, and I must commend Dr. Dom-Kwabenya for the early concession. I think that also helped the peace that we have. I think that is also a wake-up call for those of us into politics, that sometimes, yes, you do your best, but when the will of God is not for you clearly, then you must be also humble enough to eat that cake for all of us.
He's a humble pie. You said, this election has been largely peaceful. Would you say that, and for context, Ghana is known as the beacon of democracy for the continent. Would you say that mechanism or machinations for post-election conflict resolution is as apt as it need be, or do we have to review that? And there are some gaps that we really need to seriously take a look at in terms of filling. And I'm saying that even the lead up to, let me expand the question. The lead up to election 2024, there were so many issues that the Constitution was a reference point, and yet it ended up creating more confusion than bringing clarity to the matters, So would you say that, particularly in terms of post-election conflict resolution, is as apt as it can be?
I think there's a bit more that can be done.
Like what?
If I go back to the 2020 elections, there were a few issues. Techiman South.
Yeah.
That was a very big issue, to the extent of people getting shot and all that. But I'm happy that, for instance, if I go back to Asin North, I was there myself with the entire team, and I saw what actually went on. The police played a very, very neutral role. There was clearly no element of use of, let's say, guns and stuff like that. Democracy is about showing your view or showing your interest as far as happenings of today is concerned. So if you are going to just cast your vote with your thumb, really, it shouldn't be a matter of someone sending guns and stuff to polling stations. If the people get an understanding that this situation is coming up for you to exercise your right as a Ghanaian, it makes life easy for all of us. But I think that issues around IPAC, where political parties air their views and their concerns, if you're able to make that process a bit more robust, where people are able to express their concerns, we find solutions around it, if not necessarily 100%. At least the parties must be a bit more convinced that the right thing will be done. I think that from that perspective alone, a lot of things are going to change for all of us, because then the understanding is created. For this election, for instance, there was a situation where, in terms of signing a peace pact, became an issue.
Yes.
Clearly,
and it was from your party.
Well, because of what they have learned from the past, because the expectation of elections had not necessarily played out. To date, we don't have even, a discussion around the 8 people who lost their lives. No compensation, no nothing. So people are concerned. And that is why you saw what happened in Techmansau this election. People have been angered for years. And unfortunately, it looks like they're trying to vent it out. So I think that generally, we must strengthen the rules around IPAC especially, and also how the EC interacts with the public as far as giving information, and try to create that sense of, how do I say it, trust.
Yeah, looks like it all comes down to trust, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think the mistrust is too high, and that's where the challenge is coming from.
Yeah.
And you know, politics, the stakes are high. Investments are in, people's lives are in. So if people do have a sense that things are not going to work out the way they expect, then clearly they begin to take position. So I think that will be a very good starting point for us to try and resolve some of these things. And also clearly, the leadership of the various political parties must also speak to their supporters. So those are the ones who get a bit excited at some point and take decisions that may not necessarily augur well for all of us. So those are my takes on that issue.
Yeah, but I want to stay on the Constitution. I know that the President has reportedly assured that what's it called? The chairperson of the committee, the Constitutional Review Committee, Madam Kaseti, I listened to her on Newsfile over the weekend, and she elaborated on what the report is, and the President, Akufo-Addo, has assured them that he'll forward the report along with his notes to President-elect John Dramani Mahama. Remember how I said that sometimes we reference the Constitution and we end up with more confusion, even as early as the parliamentary impasse we had recently, Akwenyo Makin running to the Supreme Court and the issues that stem from that and all that. Are you looking forward to participating in a constitutional review? And what do you actually make of it? I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, the Constitution basically is a guiding rule for all of us. Therefore, if there are things within the Constitution which does not necessarily reflect where we are as a country, I think that it will be good for us to look at it. And I know there are a few things that have been highlighted over the years, especially if you look at the powers that are given to the president. That's a very
I would have said the executive.
The executive, as it were. And also, there's one particular one that people keep talking about, that's the vice president being the head of the police council. So if your boss says this, how are you going to say no to him? So there are a few things that I think that, yes, it will be good for us to look at. And I think that the reason why the 2/3 has become an issue is because it also gives the opportunity to make some amendments to the non-entrenched positions. And that's why people are a bit concerned about it.
In fact, I've sat among circles where they argue that it's dangerous for our democracy because the NDC could decide to just, pass some laws, make some reviews that may not necessarily be in the interest of every Ghanaian. Do you sense that it could be dangerous with this overwhelming 2/3 majority that next, Parliament will be featuring?
For me, right?
You don't see the danger.
I may not necessarily agree with that. Ghana's democracy, if you look at the role NDC has played over the years, right down from the establishment of the Constitution itself, the NDC has been very instrumental in making our democracy work well. So I'm very, very, I'll be very, very surprised if the NDC will do something to harm our democracy in the first place. And knowing President Mahama as I know, is one person who loves this country than a lot of people that I've met. I've been talking to him. If you start to talk about Ghana, you ask yourself, this man, the love he shows for this country is unbelievable. And I don't think he would really want to do something to harm this country. For me, from where I sit, I think coming back to the presidency, it's about legacy. What can you do?
I've heard that word.
How would you be remembered?
Circling around.
It's my personal thing, and I see that a lot in him. And Professor Nana, at this stage of her life, I think that she would compliment him so greatly. And I don't believe for a second that they will do anything that will basically give issues to our democracy. So I don't have any concerns whatsoever. If on the other side, with what I've seen over the past 8 years, then I would really be concerned. Because we've been through hell.
Well, we survived the hung parliament, so what's a two-thirds majority that we cannot deal with?
Exactly.
Let's talk about Galamsey now. We saw in the lead-up to election 2024 how citizens poured out on the streets, even those who weren't able to go out in person on social media, adding their voice, hashtag Stop Galamsey. Now it's actually still going on. There was that bid to try and get all presidential candidates and MPs. I'm not sure who exactly the stakeholders were, but to sign a pact to say that once we get into office, we're going to do whatever need be done to clear Galamsey or to stop Galamsey. Galamsey is not gone. But it looks like the fight, or the way we used to wax lyrical about it, it's been taken down a notch. What is your plan as an incoming legislator? First of all, how does the whole issue of Galamsey sit with you? And what is your plan as a leader to also add your voice to it or help us actually tackle this menace head on?
Well, thank you again. I think the issue of Galamsey has really been on top of a lot of discussions. But generally, I think that it's not been too helpful, especially with the destruction of water bodies and the ensuing potential issues that we may face. I mean, as a country, or if I should say, water is life. And clearly, if companies like Ghana Water today are crying that if you are not careful, we might have to start importing water and stuff like that, then it's really something we need to look at. There are forms of mining. And I think that we might have to do a bit more research into those kind of mining methods that we are not using too well. Because even if you have to use water from a water body, it doesn't mean you should destroy it. You can even process the water that is even used afterwards. Today, it's like there's a bit of recklessness as to the way people mine, and that is why we find ourselves here. The authorities that are supposed to govern all these activities probably have let us down a bit also, because if they were playing their part as far as regulating the industry, making sure the various, taxes are being collected, royalties are being paid, these monies can be used basically to help to fix lands that have been destroyed, buy equipment, even for communities around these areas, the issues that they're having, they are going to help them. But you don't see that happening. It's as if it's a free-for-all thing. And that is why we've come to a point where everybody has to talk about it. And especially where employment has become an issue. A lot of young people find it... exactly the point. So we need to tackle it very holistically, where we create opportunities or employment avenues for these young ones who have put their whole lives and trust into it. Because if you stop it abruptly, clearly you start creating unemployment for quite a few. And these people might end up engaging in vices that will make you...
Isn't that what we need, to stop it abruptly?
To stop it, yes. But I'm saying that if you create the additional opportunities for such people who have basically have had to go into it, clearly if they stop, they'll find something else to do. But stop it abruptly, and then you begin to create additional vacuums where needs to be filled. So for me, I think that we need to look at it holistically. Yes, I disagree strongly.
As at the time of this conversation, we know that Ghana Water Company Limited, in some parts of the central or eastern region, cannot produce the already deficit of 70% water supply that day because there's so much heavy metals, and our system is not designed to actually take out. We don't do reverse osmosis.
Right.
And these heavy metals are non-biodegradable. Are you saying as it stands now, we still need a systemic sort of procedural approach to ending Galamsey?
There are various people in that industry who are playing, and especially the huge ones who have become reckless. They are creating most of these issues. For them, I really don't have an issue with putting a stop to them straight away. But I'm saying in the long term, right, we need to create employment opportunities for such people who have ventured into that, especially the youth, because the youth are our future. And if I recall, youth unemployment became a very big national security issue where if you are not careful, we might find ourselves somewhere. And that's the perspective I'm coming from.
So you think Galamsey is in parts, an employment issue?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Because the people don't have anything to do.
So that's why they are forced to actually go there. But if under normal circumstances, there were jobs that they can actually do without having to worry about, because it's so risky. You can die any moment. The health effects on a human being also, it's so bad. So it's like they don't have a choice. That's why they find themselves there. That's what I'm saying. In the long term, let's create opportunities for them. But I know President Mahama is coming up with something about community mining, where the regulation is going to be much more done in a very holistic way, not to cancel it off, but just to regulate it well, so that anything you do will not necessarily affect our water bodies to this extent where Ghana Water was struggling.
Yeah, in fact, Doc, I disagree with you, but this is not about me. I think that to a large extent, Galamsey is a leadership problem. If we really wanted to stop Galamsey today, we would. I don't think it has anything to do
from
with
that perspective. Okay, from that perspective, yes.
Anything to do after.
From that perspective, yes.
Yeah.
If I should use the word greed, that has also become a very big issue on that side. But I think that largely, it's interesting. But I had a report that when the election results were out and President Mahama had been declared, the quantum of Galamsey activities had dropped significantly.
I would like to see that report.
Yes, I would see where I got that from and share it with you. But the good thing is that I know President Mahama has a plan for that, and I think that the NDC also appreciates how much impact this is going to have on us, especially on the Ghana Water, as you have indicated. So for me, I'm very hopeful that we would take this thing holistically and try to fix it, because it's not going to help this country. And the earlier we do it, the better it is for all of us.
Dr. Kwabenya, thank you so much for joining us. What would be your final word? If there's anything you've left out that you want to bring to light, you can also use the opportunity to speak to your constituents directly. And I understand we have some footages of your farm. So while you're doing that, we can show our viewers what it looks like.
Sure. Yes, I would like to, again, say a big thank you to Ghana. In fact, Ghana has demonstrated that we are a beacon of hope for Africa, and democracy has come to stay with us. Yes, the Ghanaian is slow to anger. However, when the opportunity comes for us to show that, yes, we appreciate or we do not appreciate what you have done over the years, just as we have demonstrated in the 2016, today in 2024, we have again showed to the world that the Ghanaian is really up to the task when it matters most. For me, I encourage every Ghanaian to be patient with us. I know the NDC is willing and ready to work for this country, to reset this country, to make this country what it is and what is expected to be for all of us, so we can have very good lives to live. For all my colleague MPs who are coming in and those that are already there, the leader of the majority leader coming, Ato Forson, I greet you, and all the MPs, I wish everybody well. And I'm hopeful that come the next election, we can be able to even do better by way of the seats we have managed to take hold of.
I know this is supposed to be a final word, but I do have to ask. I thought you said you didn't need any honeymoon period, the NDC. Now you're asking us to be patient with you. Are you managing our expectations?
From where I sit, right, I have a sense that there will be a few more discoveries in terms of what the economy looks like.
Right.
And therefore, those things also need some time to fix. I know we have a plan, but I'm just saying that Ghana, we are ready to work for you. We want you to work with us along the line. And I'm very hopeful that in a matter of time, we will see the value we bring to Ghana and our democracy. I also urge my people at Kumfi that I thank you for all the support. And I've told you I'm not going to turn my back on you. I'm going to work hard with you and make sure that we change the fortunes of Kumfi.
Right.
And I'm very hopeful that Ekumfi will not be the same.
That there is Dr. Kwabenya. He's MP-elect for Ekumfi constituency, and he's a new entrant into Parliament. He just joined us for a conversation. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us for breakfast.
Thank you.
There's still so much more coming your way. We have about under 30 minutes to go. You want to stay with me? I'll be right back.